Chapter 2568. However, if he could avoid fighting, Wei Chu really did not want to fight with Tang Ao. Naturally, Wei Chu was not afraid of the fourth-level astral-reaching realm Tang Ao. What he was afraid of were the warriors of the City of Beasts who did not join the battle with Yang Tianxing. During this period of time, the City of Beasts had taken in more than 100,000 warriors. Although there were no Yin-Yang realm warriors among them, there were quite a lot of astral-reaching realm warriors at the 8th and 9th level. During this period of time, everyone had been fighting side by side in the City of Beasts, and they had already become life and death friends. If he were to attack Tang Ao at the same time, and all of these warriors swarmed him, no matter how powerful he was, he would not be able to handle it. Moreover, every time he entered the City of Beasts, Wei Chu would have a feeling of palpitation. It was as if there was something horrifying in the City of Beasts that could kill him with one attack. This feeling of extreme danger, Wei Chu did not think that he was wrong. Since he had this feeling, then the City of Beasts must have some kind of extremely powerful means. However, for some reason, Wei Chu had never seen the warriors of the City of Beasts use this kind of means. What made Wei Chu's heart palpitate was naturally the rank 7 killing array hidden in the City of Beasts. If they were careless, even chaotic sky realm warriors would have a hard time killing them. Killing a Yin-Yang realm warrior would be a piece of cake. Unfortunately, the rank 7 killing array in the City of Beasts could not be used limitlessly. After using it once, it would need to recover for a year or even longer before it could be used again. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, Ling Xueyao would not easily use the rank 7 killing array. Finger of Destruction. After performing the King Kong transformation, Tang Ao did not waste any time and immediately attacked. Tang Ao's first attack was a killing attack. 2 beams of light condensed into a huge finger, directly falling towards Wei Chu. The long spear in Wei Chu's hand violently swept out, clashing with the 2 huge, shining fingers. A terrifying shockwave spread out. Wei Chu took half a step back, while Tang Ao felt a powerful rebounding force. In the next instant, Tang Ao's figure was sent flying. The gap between the first Yin-Yang realm and the fourth astral-reaching realm was obvious at this moment. However, because Tang Ao's great desolate immortal body had been cultivated to the Yuan body level, Tang Ao was not injured. If it were an ordinary astral-reaching expert, even if they were not killed by the powerful immortal spiritual power, their internal organs would have been shaken by Wei Chu's attack. After sending Tang Ao flying, an ice phoenix appeared behind Wei Chu without waiting for him to follow up with another attack. Then, an ice storm blasted towards Wei Chu. Such an attack wasn't very dangerous to Wei Chu, but he didn't dare to be careless. Wei Chu turned around and shattered the ice storm. Another thunderball rumbled over. Seeing the thunderball spat out by the gold thunderhound, Wei Chu sneered inwardly. He ignored it and let the thunderball hit him. After the violent thunderball landed on Wei Chu's body, waves of electric light swam around. The thunderbolts were absorbed by Wei Chu directly. A hint of greed appeared in Wei Chu's eyes as he looked at the golden lightning ball. Chapter 2569. Seeing the dark soul demon scythe, Wei Chu froze for a second, then sneered and continued to grab at it. However, the moment Wei Chu grabbed the scythe, his expression changed. The soul remembrance on his arm had been sucked dry by the dark soul demon scythe. Even his soul felt like it was going to be devoured by the dark soul demon scythe. Wei Chu hurried to throw out a palm attack, and at the same time, the golden spear in his hand landed heavily on the dark soul demon scythe. Crack! The dark soul demon scythe shattered, turning into a cloud of black fog and slowly disappearing. Although the dark soul demon scythe was strange, Huang Qir's cultivation was too low, and the dark soul demon scythe was not condensed enough. Therefore, Wei Chu's attack had shattered the dark soul demon scythe. Boom! Right then, 2 beams of light, one blue and one green, shot down from the sky. They looked like two huge pillars that supported the sky, pressing down on Wei Chu. The ancient blue spirit and the ancient green spirit also appeared behind Huang Qir. Huang Qir could control demonic beasts and demonic creatures. Although her cultivation was not high, and her battle power was not strong, her power was unquestionable. Ice Phoenix, Gold Thunder Hound, Dark Soul Demon Scythe, and the ancient two spirits. Once these demonic beasts and demonic creatures appeared, normal astral reaching realm warriors would not be able to handle them at all. Not only that, according to the identity tag in the Immortal Ruin Chamber of Commerce, Huang Qir could also control a peak level 9 astral reaching realm beast. This beast was something that even Tang Ao had not seen before. Boom! Boom! A wave of dust rose up, and the violent spirit power spread out. Everyone nervously sent their soul remembrance into the smoke. Everyone wanted to know if Huang Qir's dazzling attack had killed Wei Chu. Roar! Right then, a loud roar was heard from within the dust. Golden lightning flashed on Wei Chu's body, as if he had turned into a thunder god. Right then, Wei Chu was in a sorry state. His body was torn, and there were even traces of blood on it. In the distance, Tang Ao scanned through with his sky extreme eyes and sighed inwardly. There was indeed a huge gap between the yin-yang realm and the astral reaching realm. Faced with Huang Qir's attacks, Tang Ao felt that even in his previous life, he would have been defeated by Huang Qir. Although Tang Ao had not reached the yin-yang realm in his previous life, he was still at the peak of astral reaching realm level 9. However, after Huang Qir controlled the demonic beasts and demonic creatures to attack Wei Chu was actually not injured. At this moment, although Wei Chu looked to be in a sorry state, that was all. In reality, Wei Chu was not injured at all. Diant. Although Wei Chu wasn't injured, Huang Qir's barrage of attacks had left Wei Chu feeling extremely sullen. Two golden spears floated behind Wei Chu. With a wave of his hand, the two golden spears shot out. Puff! Puff! The Ice Phoenix's wings were pierced by Wei Chu's two golden spears and nailed to the void. Lil Bing! Huang Qir was furious. In an instant, half the sky above the city of beasts turned dark. A huge figure descended from the sky, a huge claw attacking directly at Wei Chu. It was indeed the dragon turtle with a dragon head and a turtle body. Although the dragon turtle's power was horrifying, its movements were a bit clumsy. When the dragon turtle's claw attacked, Wei Chu's body instantly dodged. Chapter 2570. Without the protection of the defense array, the Blood Clan members and blood slaves around the city of beasts immediately swarmed in and instantly drowned the city of beasts. Huang Qir covered her mouth with her hands, her eyes filled with self-blame. However, Tang Ao appeared beside Huang Qir. Junior Sister Qir, it's not your fault. Even if you didn't make a move, this fellow would have broken the array. Tang Ao knew that LV Kunyang's array Dao attainment was not inferior to his own when he saw the few array flags that LV Kunyang threw out instantly condensed into an explosive flame array. Hence, Tang Ao knew that as long as LV Kunyang was willing, he could completely break this unmanned array. Previously, when Huang Yuechen and his group killed their way into the city of beasts, many martial artists were indifferent. However, now that the city of beasts' defense array was broken, these people immediately regretted it. As long as they stayed in the defense array for another 7 days, the Blood Clan's blood source array would weaken and everyone would go their separate ways. However, now that the city of beasts' defense array was broken, they had no place to hide. At this moment, many people were filled with regret. If they hadn't chosen to stand by and watch when Huang Yuechen and his group had charged in, they would have attacked at lightning speed instead. No matter how strong Huang Yuechen and his group were, they wouldn't have been able to fend off so many cultivators. However, it was too late to say anything now. After the Blood Clan and blood slaves charged in, the already chaotic city of beasts became even more chaotic. For a moment, there were endless screams in the city of beasts. Many Blood Clan and Blood slaves were killing mercilessly in the city of beasts. Countless martial artists died tragically. The strange blood demon was even stranger in this chaotic city of beasts. In a corner of the city wall, a woman bit the neck of a male martial artist beside her and revealed her ferocious, sharp teeth. Unlike blood slaves and Blood Clan martial artists, the blood demon could perfectly conceal its aura and blend in with the crowd. After this blood demon sucked the male martial artist's blood dry, its figure turned into a bloody light and disappeared. When human martial artists cultivated, they started by absorbing spiritual energy. After reaching a high-level plane, they could absorb immortal spiritual energy to cultivate. Just like humans, the Blood Clan could also absorb immortal spiritual energy to cultivate. However, the Blood Clan had an even faster cultivation method, which was to directly absorb the blood of a martial artist. The blood of a martial artist contained a vast amount of immortal spiritual energy. When the Blood Clan martial artist absorbed blood, the spiritual energy essence in the spirit sea would also be sucked dry. Absorbing the blood of a martial artist of the same level was equivalent to a year of cultivation for the Blood Clan martial artist. It was also because of this that there were so many Blood Clan members and blood slaves around the 100 Beast City, refusing to leave even after such a long time. On Tang Ao's side, even if Tang Ao and Huang Qir joined hands, they were still suppressed by Wei Chu. With Wei Chu's yin-yang first-level cultivation, he could do whatever he wanted in the 100 Beast City. If it was before, Tang Ao could exhaust all his immortal spiritual energy and use the primordial beginning sacred heaven bow to kill Wei Chu. Tang Ao didn't believe that Wei Chu would have a second ancient heavenly star bell. However, the situation in the City of Beasts was very complicated. Tang Ao didn't dare to waste his spiritual energy. Senior brother Tang Ao, why don't I summon Cain and destroy him? Huang Qir looked at Wei Chu from afar and sent a voice transmission to Tang Ao. Tang Ao shook his head after Huang Qir said that. Cain was Huang Qir's biggest trump card. However, there was no need to summon Cain to deal with a level 1 yin-yang realm martial artist like Wei Chu. Huang Qir still had 300 Dark Essence Stones. These 300 Dark Essence Stones could summon Cain one more time. Chapter 2571. Brother Tang Ao, let me help you. Just as Tang Ao and Huang Qir joined forces to fight Wei Chu, Song Qiufeng's voice was heard. It turned out that Luo Shi was too powerful. He was fighting Yang Tianxing and Huang Yuechen alone, so Song Qiufeng brought a group of guards to surround and kill Wei Chu. Song Qiufeng was a vengeful person. Wei Chu had broken one of Song Qiufeng's arms previously. Song Qiufeng had never forgotten this debt. With the addition of Song Qiufeng's group of 10, the pressure on Tang Ao's side decreased. Huang Qir and the others fought Wei Chu head-on, while Tang Ao used the primordial sacred sky bow to launch sneak attacks from the side. As the saying went, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Moreover, Wei Chu was currently fighting 1 against 10. Although Wei Chu's golden spear was impenetrable, he was still constantly retreating under everyone's joint attack. Seeing that Wei Chu was surrounded, Huang Tianxing and LV Kunyang immediately came to help. However, before they could arrive, a group of Blood Clan warriors had already killed their way onto the flying spirit boat. The warriors in the City of Beasts weren't the Blood Clan's target. Everyone here was the Blood Clan's prey. There weren't many warriors on the flying spirit boat. Moreover, the human warriors were in a mess, so it was a good opportunity to snatch the flying spirit boat. Before long, all 3 flying spirit boats were under the control of the Blood Clan warriors. Even with the protection of the guards, Huang Tianxing's abdomen was still cut open by a blood demon. LV Kunyang, go kill Tang Ao. Even though he was injured, Huang Tianxing's hatred for Tang Ao didn't decrease at all. Third young master, there are many Blood Clan warriors here. I'd better stay here to protect you, LV Kunyang said as he looked around vigilantly. Go quickly. There are so many people around to protect me. Go kill Tang Ao. Huang Tianxing hated Tang Ao to the core. LV Kunyang hesitated for a moment and was about to make a move, but Huang Tianxing stopped him. Wait! Third young master, do you have any other instructions? LV Kunyang asked with a frown. To be honest, LV Kunyang didn't want to participate in this battle. Such a chaotic battle was both dangerous and safe, but there were no benefits. I was the one who killed Yang Feng. Huang Tianxing cautiously looked around and said to LV Kunyang. Although LV Kunyang already had some guesses, he was still shocked to hear it from Huang Tianxing's own mouth. Third young master's actions. LV Kunyang was interrupted by Huang Tianxing. You don't need to ask any more questions. You already know why I'm doing this. Now go and kill Tang Ao. Once Tang Ao is dead, everything will be fine. LV Kunyang naturally understood Huang Tianxing's words. Huang Tianxing killed Yang Feng but framed Tang Ao. As long as Tang Ao died, there would be no evidence. At that time, even if Yang Tianxing had any suspicions, he wouldn't dare to suspect Huang Tianxing. Swish, swish, swish. The primordial sacred heavenly bow in Tang Ao's hand exploded with a resplendent radiance. 3 profound sky arrows directly hit Wei Chu's body. Although Wei Chu had a good armor on him, under the bombardment of the profound sky arrows, Wei Chu's immortal spiritual force was still shaken by Tang Ao's profound sky arrows. In addition to the surrounding attacks from Song Qiufeng and the others, Wei Chu was in danger. Buzz! Just at this moment, a powerful spatial fluctuation spread out. Immediately after, everyone saw that many array flags had appeared in the surroundings unknowingly. These array flags disappeared in a flash, but everyone felt a strong sense of danger. Chapter 2572. Normally, an array was formed by many array flags. Some special arrays even required the help of array discs or other treasures. But now, LV Kunyang's array flag was a whole array. At this moment, LV Kunyang's array flag landed and a martial artist was about to be killed by him. Although Wei Chu was at the first level of Yin-Yang realm, he was still no match for everyone's attack. But now, with LV Kunyang's help, Wei Chu immediately recovered. The array flags that Tang Ao threw out also formed a barrier within LV Kunyang's array. Numerous lightning bolts fell, but they were all blocked by Tang Ao's array barrier. LV Kunyang looked at Tang Ao in surprise. He could also tell that Tang Ao was a rank 4 immortal array master just like him. The reason why LV Kunyang could become a rank 4 immortal array master was because he had been cultivating array Dao since the beginning of his cultivation. Only when he reached the 9th level of astral reaching realm did he become a rank 4 immortal array master. However, Tang Ao was only at the 4th level of astral reaching realm. Even if Tang Ao spent all his time cultivating array Dao, it would still be very shocking for him to be able to become a rank 4 immortal array master at the 4th level of astral reaching realm. Tang Ao's array Dao talent could be described as monstrous. But what LV Kunyang did not know was that Tang Ao was proficient in array Dao, artifact forging, and alchemy. Relatively speaking, Tang Ao spent the least amount of time studying arrays. Brother Kunyang, thank you. Wei Chu cupped his fists towards LV Kunyang. Although he was a Yin-Yang realm martial artist, he was still very respectful towards LV Kunyang, who was a rank 4 immortal array master. The status of a rank 4 immortal array master was even higher than a Yin-Yang realm martial artist in Sky Star City. In the desolate martial realm, it was not easy to produce a rank 4 immortal array master, not to mention a rank 4 immortal array master who was good at divination and had unlimited potential. LV Kunyang nodded. Then, he looked at Tang Ao and said, since we're both grade 4 immortal array masters, why don't we have a spar? The reason why Wei Chu was suppressed to the brink of death was because Tang Ao posed a great threat to Wei Chu. More than half of Wei Chu's attention was on guarding against Tang Ao's primordial sacred heaven bow. Therefore, as long as LV Kuan-Yang could distract Tang Ao, the pressure on Wei Chu would decrease. Although Wei Chu wasn't as strong as Yang Tianxing, it shouldn't be a problem for him to deal with the remaining people. Okay. Tang Ao did not reject LV Kuan-Yang's challenge. The threat that LV Kuan-Yang posed to Huang Qir and the others was not small either. There was one more thing that Tang Ao wanted to learn from LV Kuan-Yang's array Dao. Tang Ao could see that whether it was breaking the array or attacking just now, LV Kuan-Yang's method of fighting against the enemy was using arrays. Perhaps it was because LV Kuan-Yang had only learned a single method of array formation that he was able to use array formations to such an extent. Because he was focused, he was outstanding. Tang Ao moved and flew directly to the south of the city of beasts. Because of LV Kuan-Yang's attack just now, the array formation at the south of the city of beasts had been completely broken. Even now, it had not recovered. Therefore, the south of the city of beasts had the most number of blood-kindred warriors and blood slave. Tang Ao's purpose in luring LV Kuan-Yang here was self-evident. Although many blood-kindred and blood slaves had already rushed into the city of beasts, the number of blood-kindred that had entered the city of beasts was, after all, a small number. There were still many blood slaves outside who wanted to rush in through the gap in the south city wall. Chapter 2573. Swish, swish, swish. Several air-piercing sounds resounded, and 5 array flags instantly appeared behind LV Kuan-Yang. These 5 array flags had metal, wood, water, fire, and earth runes respectively. Hundreds of array flags surrounded LV Kuan-Yang. LV Kuan-Yang waved his hand and several fire symbol array flags flew towards Tang Ao. In an instant, a grade 4 blazing sky burning array immediately floated above LV Kuan-Yang's head. When he saw this scene, Tang Ao's face turned solemn. In such a short period of time, Tang Ao might not even be able to set up a grade 3 immortal array. If Tang Ao was only using arrays to fight LV Kuan-Yang, then there was no need to continue. Tang Ao would have already lost. Tang Ao did not lose in terms of his attainments in the array Dao, but in terms of the usage of array formations. Previously, Tang Ao had also used spirit arrays to fight with others, but the spirit arrays that Tang Ao used must have been arranged in advance, or there was enough time for Tang Ao to arrange the spirit arrays. Tang Ao had never imagined that LV Kuan-Yang could set up a formation in the middle of a battle. Boom, boom, boom. After the blazing sky burning array was set up, 3 blazing sun-like fireballs flew towards Tang Ao. These 3 fireballs lit up half the sky, and the terrifyingly high temperature caused the non-blood slaves to howl as they continuously retreated. Clearly, these blood slaves felt the threat of death from the 3 fireballs. Tang Ao's skypole eyes suddenly focused, and the Tai Chi pattern flashed in Tang Ao's eyes. Wisps of cold air swam around Tang Ao's body. The sky polar eyes had 2 uses. One was to observe everything in the world, and the other was to control the power of frost. This kind of ice power was different from ordinary ice. It was an extreme cold energy. Tang Ao had also tried to use this kind of extreme cold chi when he was in the Sea of Souls realm and the Life and Death realm. However, at that time, Tang Ao was not very familiar with the sky polar eyes, and Tang Ao's cultivation was not high enough. Therefore, the power of this extreme cold chi was limited. However, things were different now. After coming into contact with the darkness origin essence, Tang Ao's understanding of the heaven and earth Tao law had deepened once again, and his heavenly polar eyes had also advanced once again. Moreover, Tang Ao's current cultivation was no longer at the Sea of Souls realm, nor at the Life and Death realm, but at the astral reaching realm. In the true martial realm, astral reaching realm was nothing. It was still a low-level existence. However, the astral reaching realm sky extreme pupil could control the extreme cold power, which was indeed shocking. This was the first time Tang Ao had used the power of extreme cold against an enemy, apart from when he was in the space-time secret realm. In midair, Tang Ao's long hair fluttered in the wind, and wisps of cold energy surged around Tang Ao's body. The heat from before had completely disappeared at this moment. LV Kunyang's expression changed. Although he did not know what kind of trick Tang Ao was going to use, seeing that Tang Ao did not use the primordial sacred sky bow, he was not that worried. The primordial sacred sky bow was a legendary treasure. LV Kunyang had also seen the power of the primordial sacred sky bow. The scene of Tang Ao using the primordial sacred sky bow to shatter the heaven star's bell was still fresh in LV Kunyang's mind. LV Kunyang knew that in order for the primordial sacred sky bow to display such power, it would take a certain amount of time for Tang Ao to condense the immortal spirit power. However, if Tang Ao completely gave up on defense and kept dodging to accumulate the immortal spirit power, then Tang Ao would be able to shoot out an arrow with all his strength. In that case, even if he could kill Tang Ao, he would be shot to death by the primordial sacred sky bow. Chapter 2574. Even a martial artist with a pure ice spirit root would need to be at least at the astral reaching realm level 9 or even the yin-yang realm to use this kind of spell. However, Tang Ao was only a astral reaching realm level 4 martial artist, yet he was able to perform such a horrifying spell. While everyone was shocked, Tang Ao was also secretly shocked in his heart. Because right then, a strand of hair in front of Tang Ao's forehead had turned gray. Right then, Tang Ao could clearly feel that after performing this spell, not only had all of his spirit power and soul power been used up, even his lifespan had been reduced by 1,000 years. Astral reaching realm martial artists had about 100,000 years of lifespan. Losing 1,000 years of lifespan was like a normal person losing 1 year in a blink of an eye. It sounded easy, but when it really happened to one, besides feeling it was unbelievable, one would also feel a deep fear. Other people only knew that Tang Ao had summoned a huge ice brick with his sky-polar eyes, but Tang Ao knew that it was not an ice brick at all. Inside this ice brick, there was something extremely horrifying. Puff! Tang Ao puked out a mouthful of blood. Then, Tang Ao's body swayed a couple of times before falling down from the sky. The battle between Tang Ao and LV Kunyang had been watched by a lot of people. But no one had thought that something like this would happen. Once the battle had started, Tang Ao had been badly wounded for no reason. Tang Ao did not fall onto the ground. Instead, he landed on a soft body. Tang Ao lifted up his head and saw Ling Shuiao's beautiful face. "Brother Tang Ao, what happened?" Ling Shuiao looked at Tang Ao anxiously. Just now, Ling Shuiao was also fighting with 2 martial artists from Stellar Sky City. When she saw that Tang Ao was suddenly injured, Ling Shuiao immediately broke away from her opponent and rushed over. "I used a powerful technique." Tang Ao was also feeling very depressed. Back in Pill Sage Green Rock's space-time mystic realm, when Tang Ao used the heavenly polar eyes, he was able to summon an ice warrior. That Arctic warrior was very cumbersome, but its defensive power was astonishing. Even Tang Ao's thousand hands imprint was unable to shake it in the slightest. The blazing sky burning array that LV Kunyang had set up was a grade 4 immortal array that could directly threaten yin-yang realm martial artists. Tang Ao didn't dare to hold back, so he immediately used sky polarity pupils. However, Tang Ao did not expect such a thing to happen. Previously, he didn't summon the Ice Warrior. Instead, he summoned a strange thing. Could it be a forbidden technique? Ling Shuiao asked uncertainly. Ling Shuiao was currently supporting Tang Ao. Therefore, Ling Shuiao could clearly sense that Tang Ao's soul force and immortal spiritual power were so weak that they were almost undetectable. Moreover, when she had caught Tang Ao, she realized that Tang Ao's vitality was constantly dissipating. Only now did it calm down. Tang Ao shook his head and didn't say anything. After all, even Tang Ao didn't know what had happened. Bang! However, at this moment, LV Kuanyang's 3 huge fireballs had already bombarded the floating ice blocks in midair. Under the bombardment of the 3 fireballs, the sky was filled with ice shards and countless ice crystals were falling from the sky. Following which, a wisp of azure flame appeared in front of everyone's eyes. After seeing this wisp of flame, everyone was stunned. This wisp of flame was like a basin-sized azure fireball that was slowly burning. Roar! However, at this moment, an earth-shaking roar came from the ice block. Then, countless pieces of ice fell. A huge figure that spanned across the sky appeared in front of everyone. Heavens, is that a dragon? How can there be such a strange dragon? What the hell is that thing? That flame just now was actually the eyeball of this monster. The sound of inhaling rose and fell as countless people discussed animatedly. The blood slaves that didn't have much intelligence were trembling as they looked at the sky, as though there was a terrifying existence in mid-air. Chapter 2575. The primordial ice dragon reached out with its claw, shattering the void. LV Kuanyang immediately took out the Sky Star City's life-saving treasure, the Sky Star Bell. However, the Sky Star Bell, which was known for its defense, was completely vulnerable to the primordial ice dragon's claw. Under the primordial ice dragon's claw, LV Kuanyang instantly exploded into a bloody mist. Roar! After killing LV Kuanyang, the primordial ice dragon spat out a mouthful of ice breath. Hundreds of thousands of blood slaves and blood clan members below were instantly turned into ice cubes. As the primordial ice dragon roared, the ice cubes shattered inch by inch. The blood clan members and blood slaves that were frozen in ice were instantly turned into ashes. At that moment, the primordial ice dragon's consciousness seemed to be in a state of chaos. The 3 flying spirit boats in the sky were directly smashed by the primordial ice dragon's claw. Witnessing such a sudden change, all the Blood Clan and the 100 Beast Cities cultivators who were engaged in battle immediately stopped their attacks, staring in terror at the terrifying and domineering immemorial ice dragon hovering in the air. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the primordial ice dragon flapped its wings and flew up. Then, it directly collided with the slowly rotating blood source array that was suspended in the sky. This 9th-grade immortal array was actually broken in half by the primordial ice dragon's attack. The blood-colored radiance that descended from the sky suddenly disappeared. Countless blood slaves let out a blood-curdling scream, and their auras instantly weakened by several levels. Under this impact, the primordial ice dragon's body also shattered, turning into a sky full of ice and dissipating into thin air. No one noticed that at that moment, a wisp of dragon soul instantly entered Tang Ao's glabella. Pft! Tang Ao spat out another mouthful of fresh blood. Tang Ao did not expect the heavenly polar eyes to actually be able to summon a primordial ice dragon. Furthermore, it was just a clone of the primordial ice dragon, not the actual body. Tang Ao found it hard to imagine how terrifying the rumored primordial ice dragon was. The primordial ice dragon was a powerful existence in the legends. It was said to be a top-notch divine beast that was no weaker than a god-king expert. Tang Ao also felt an additional dragon soul in his sea of knowledge. This dragon soul was only a remnant strand. After entering Tang Ao's sea of knowledge, it seemed to have fallen into a deep slumber and did not move at all. Since the primordial ice dragon had destroyed the Blood Clan's blood source formation, the Blood Clan martial artists in the City of Beasts had retreated immediately. Without the support of the blood source array, these Blood Tribe martial artists were no match for the City of Beasts martial artists. Many of the blood slaves fled in all directions. As the blood slaves fled, the warriors of the City of Beasts slaughtered them. During this period of time, they had been trapped in the City of Beasts by the blood servants. Many of them were extremely frustrated. If they did not vent their frustrations now, they would die of frustration. As for the Heavenly Star City, it was extremely unfortunate. Just now, the primordial ice dragon's ice breath had instantly killed most of the martial artists in the Stellar Sky City. Even if Yang Tianxing had not executed his secret art in time to escape, he would have been turned into ice shards. Looking at the place where the primordial ice dragon had vanished, Yang Tianxing's heart could not calm down for a long time. Just a moment ago, he, Yang Tianxing, had actually taken a trip to the gates of hell. Yang Tianxing sighed in his heart. Fortunately, the ice dragon did not notice him. If he had been in front of the ice dragon like LV Kun, his body and soul would have been annihilated. Chapter 2576. Although Tang Ao was extremely weak at the moment, Huang Tianxing and his group couldn't care less about Tang Ao. After the Blood Clan's blood source formation was destroyed by the primordial ice dragon, the Blood Clan and blood slaves retreated like a receding tide. Under the protection of the blood source formation, the Blood Clan martial artists could continuously replenish the blood energy they consumed. Even if they were injured, they could recover quickly due to the blood source formation. Many techniques that were difficult to execute normally could be easily executed with the help of the blood source formation. Now that the blood source formation was gone, the Blood Clan martial artists were in chaos. The blood slaves with low intelligence let out anguished wails. The source of the blood slaves' power was the Blood Origin Grand Formation. Once the Blood Origin Grand Formation was broken, if they didn't have blood chi to replenish it, the blood slaves' blood chi would dry up and they would die. Even those strange blood demons had no choice but to leave this place and escape to a place where the blood source formation was not destroyed. After the Blood Clan retreated, the people of Sky Star's city immediately became the target of public criticism. In addition, the primordial ice dragon's dragon breath had killed half of the martial artists of Sky Star's city. The remaining martial artists of Sky Star's city didn't dare to stay any longer. However, because the Blood Clan had retreated, it wasn't easy for Huang Tianxing and his group to leave. Even though the Sky Star's city guards tried their best to protect him, Huang Tianxing's body was still pierced by several people by the time he escaped from Sky Star's city. His aura was also extremely weak. Huang Yuechen glared at Luoxi. Huang Yuechen's left arm had been completely chopped off by Luoxi's Heaven Fault axe. In Huang Yuechen's mind, Luoxi was already on his kill list. There were many martial artists surrounding Luoxi, but now that everyone had retreated, Luoxi wasn't injured at all. If Luoxi didn't hide his strength and attacked with all his might, Huang Yuechen wouldn't have just lost an arm. He wouldn't have been able to walk out of the city of beasts. After Huang Yuechen and his group retreated, everyone's hearts were heavy. The battle this time had not gone on for very long, but the 100 Beast Cities cultivators had suffered heavy casualties. Many martial artists with low cultivation had survived under the protection of the City of Beasts. However, because the City of Beasts' formation was destroyed, a large number of Blood Clan martial artists flooded in. Only a few of these martial artists with low cultivation were still alive. It wasn't just the martialists with low cultivation levels. Many martialists with good cultivation levels had also fallen under the terrifying offensive of the Blood Clan. The night wind was bleak. This was a sleepless night for many. In the short span of a day, many of his comrades who had fought alongside him in the past had disappeared forever. The vampires and the blood slaves had already retreated, but the ruins in the City of Beasts told everyone that a fierce battle had taken place here not long ago. This battle was unnecessary. If it wasn't for Huang Tianxing's narrow-mindedness, he would have attacked the City of Beasts' defense array time and time again. This time, he even destroyed the southern defense array completely, allowing the Blood Clan to enter. If all of this didn't happen, then 7 days later, the Blood Clan's blood source array would automatically weaken. At that time, many people here would be able to leave alive. Cough, cough. In Tang Ao's refining room, Tang Ao couldn't help but cough twice. Even at this moment, the immortal spiritual force in Tang Ao's body was still in a mess. The strand of white hair hanging down from Tang Ao's forehead was even more glaring. This strand of white hair was filled with the vicissitudes of time. Tang Ao had never heard of a secret technique that could instantly reduce one's lifespan by 1,000 years. Chapter 2577. I'm fine. I'll recover after resting for a while. What's the situation outside now? Although Tang Ao spoke casually, he was smiling bitterly in his heart. If an ordinary person had been in his current state, they would have needed at least a year to recover. However, Tang Ao's jade bone life soul was constantly repairing Tang Ao's damaged meridians and organs. Therefore, Tang Ao was recovering very quickly. However, Tang Ao had lost too much blood essence this time and his lifespan had been reduced by 1,000 years. Even though Tang Ao was a grade 3 alchemy master, he still needed to rest for a few days before he could recover. The Blood Clan warriors and the Blood Slaves have already retreated to the Golden Sand City. The City of Beasts' defense array has been basically repaired. Everyone is also helping to repair the other things. It's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, I don't know how many more people would have died. We don't have any conflicts of interest with the Sky Stars City. I don't know why Huang Tianxing has always been against us. Is it because we are weak that we don't even have the right to live? As Ling Xueyao said this, her eyes were very gloomy. Originally, apart from Ling Xueyao, there was a pair of twin sisters in this city. They were also from the Spirit Blood Demon clan. However, because LV Kuanyang had broken the defense array, the twin sisters had been captured by the Blood Demon. Ling Xueyao didn't continue thinking about it. Instead, she looked at Tang Ao blankly, as if she wanted to seek an answer from Tang Ao. Tang Ao chuckled and immediately reached out to touch Ling Xueyao's hair. Although Ling Xueyao knew that Tang Ao had this bad habit when talking to people close to him, she still felt very warm when she saw Tang Ao touch Huang Qir's hair. However, when she saw Tang Ao touch Huang Qir's head, she felt very warm. Now that Tang Ao was touching her head, Ling Xueyao was not used to it. She didn't reject Tang Ao. Among the human warriors that Ling Xueyao had met, Tang Ao was a very interesting and warm person. However, Ling Xueyao was not used to Tang Ao's behavior. The law of the jungle prevails everywhere in the true martial world. The law of the jungle had never changed. However, this didn't mean that the weak didn't have the right to live, and the strong could do whatever they wanted. Since every living being existed, there was a reason for their existence. As long as your heart is filled with hope, you will always feel warmth. Ling Xueyao was still pondering over Tang Ao's words, but Tang Ao had already walked out. This was because Tang Ao's soul remembrance had detected that Song Qiufeng was currently anxiously standing outside Tang Ao's forging room. Although Tang Ao and Song Qiufeng had a cooperative relationship, Song Qiufeng wasn't worried about him, but the batch of pure gold immortal artifacts. However, during the battle with Wei Chu, Song Qiufeng had been able to help in time and resolve Tang Ao's crisis. "President Song, how have you been?" "Ha." Seeing Tang Ao walk out, Song Qiufeng laughed heartily. Then, Song Qiufeng patted Tang Ao's shoulder. "Brother Tang Ao, I knew you would be fine. Thank you for your concern, Brother Song. Here are the remaining 50 pure gold immortal artifacts. Brother Song, please check them." Tang Ao didn't beat around the bush. Since Song Qiufeng's goal was the remaining 50 pure gold immortal artifacts, Tang Ao took them out. These pure gold immortal artifacts had already been forged by Tang Ao. Chapter 2578. Song Qiufeng took the storage ring from Tang Ao and put it away without checking it. This surprised Tang Ao a little. When Tang Ao had handed the scarlet gold immortal weapon to Song Qiufeng for the first time, Song Qiufeng had put it away without checking it either. Whether this trust was genuine or not, it was enough to make one feel grateful. Even if this was the method of a businessman, Tang Ao could only say that it was a brilliant move. "Brother Tang Ao, I am leaving. Here is a gift for you." Song Qiufeng handed a storage pouch to Tang Ao. This storage pouch was no ordinary storage pouch. Although it was his first time seeing it, Tang Ao could still recognize that it was the cosmic storage pouch that he had seen in Yun Xiaoyao's Master Guide of Weapon Forging. Apart from the huge space inside, the most unique feature of the so-called cosmic storage pouch was that the warrior could actually store it in such a storage pouch. The cosmic storage pouch was like a silk pouch that shone with starlight. Tang Ao probed it with his psyche and realized that there was a lake in the storage pouch. Beside the lake was a courtyard. There was a pavilion in the middle of the lake, and 3 items were placed on the table in the middle of the pavilion. There was a token made of an unknown material. This token piqued Tang Ao's curiosity. Tang Ao was now a 3rd-grade immortal weapon master, but even Tang Ao could not recognize what material this token was made of. The words, "Thousand Merchant House," were written on the token. It seemed to be a token of the Thousand Merchant House. Apart from the token, there were 2 storage rings. One of the storage rings contained 300 sets of materials needed to forge a scarlet gold immortal weapon. The other storage ring didn't contain the scarlet gold sand, but it was even more precious. Many weapon masters might not know what this material was, but Tang Ao knew it. It was the Starry Sky Dao Jade. Moreover, this piece of Starry Sky Dao Jade was 5 feet square. Even with Tang Ao's wealth, such an item was a treasure among treasures. Tang Ao did not know why Song Qiufeng had given him such a huge gift. "Brother Song, what is the meaning of this?" The scarlet gold sand and the token were dispensable to Tang Ao. Tang Ao still had 300 sets of scarlet gold sand on him. As for the token, Tang Ao was a warrior of the immortal ruin chamber of commerce. There seemed to be no need for him to join other chambers. However, this piece of Starry Sky Dao Jade had indeed tempted Tang Ao. "I want to tell you 2 things. Listen to me first, then consider whether you want to accept this thing or not." The first thing was that even though the entire true martial world was vast and boundless, there were only 36 martial worlds in the true martial world that were truly rich and prosperous. There were countless merchant houses of various sizes in the 36 martial worlds, but among them, there were 4 merchant houses that were the largest. On the path of cultivation, resources were the most important. These 4 merchant houses were the strongest, so they naturally controlled the most resources. Song Qiufeng's words made Tang Ao curious. Tang Ao knew that the immortal ruin chamber of commerce operated in several martial realms. However, this was the first time Tang Ao had heard about the so-called 4 great merchant houses. Seeing Tang Ao's curiosity, Song Qiufeng continued, "The number 1 merchant house is the Black Chamber of Commerce of the Heavenly Martial Realm. The Black Chamber of Commerce has the support of the Heavenly Martial Lord, so its foundation is in the Heavenly Martial Realm, the number 1 martial realm of the 36 martial realms. If the Black Chamber of Commerce wanted to, it could even control the rise and fall of some weak martial realms." Chapter 2579. Apart from the Black Chamber of Commerce, there are 3 other chambers of commerce. One is the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce that has a connection with you. The other is the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce that has a monopoly on Void Battleship. The last one is our Thousand Merchants House. The Thousand Merchants House had a house master, 5 honorary elders, and 12 gold medal elders. Song Qiufeng was a gold medal elder of the Thousand Merchants House. He even had hopes of becoming an honorary elder in the future. Once Song Qiufeng became an honorary elder, he would be second only to one person. I'm telling you this because I want to have a long-term cooperation with you. You are a formation master, refiner, and alchemist. As long as you refine immortal tools and elixirs, I can digest them all. I can also do my best to provide some of the things you need for your cultivation. I believe you can see my sincerity. Tang Ao understood that the sincerity Song Qiufeng was talking about was the Starry Sky storage bag and the Starry Sky Dao Jade. Rather than saying this was Song Qiufeng's sincerity, it was better to say that Song Qiufeng was showing off his strength. Tang Ao didn't know how the Thousand Merchants' House operated, but he knew that the Thousand Merchants' House had developed to the same level as the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce. Moreover, Song Qiufeng was a gold medal elder under the House Master and Honorary Elder. Therefore, cooperating with Song Qiufeng wouldn't be a loss for Tang Ao. Brother Song, I've already seen your strength. However, I will be returning to the Langia boundary soon. Even if I want to cooperate with you, how will I contact you? Tang Ao believed that Song Qiufeng must have considered this issue. Otherwise, Song Qiufeng wouldn't have come to cooperate with him. However, Tang Ao didn't understand how Song Qiufeng was going to deal with this. Ha ha ha, brother Tang Ao. On the surface, the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce is a chamber of commerce that spans the 4 great martial realms. However, in reality, it spans the 8 great martial realms. Our Thousand Merchants' House doesn't have a decent branch in other martial worlds like the Chamber of Commerce in the Immortal Ruins. However, our Chamber of Commerce can be found almost everywhere in the true martial world. Our name is different, but it still belongs to us. Song Qiufeng's words caused Tang Ao's heart to tremble. Tang Ao hadn't expected that the Thousand Merchant House would be able to infiltrate to this extent. At this moment, Tang Ao also understood the use of the token in the universal storage bag. Since Song Qiufeng had taken care of everything, there was naturally no problem for the two of them to work together. Then I shall accept your invitation. Tang Ao nodded his head and immediately kept the Starry Sky storage bag that Song Qiufeng had given him. After putting away the Starry Sky storage bag, Tang Ao handed a jade bottle to Song Qiufeng. There was only one pill in the jade bottle. Because there was a restriction on the jade bottle, Song Qiufeng didn't open it and politely accepted it. After receiving the pills from Tang Ao, Song Qiufeng and Tang Ao talked about the details of the cooperation in detail before leaving. Tang Ao believed that with the Chamber of Immortality's strength, the Chamber of Immortality would be able to accept all the celestial weapons and elixirs he refined and give him a satisfactory price. Chapter 2580. A beast carriage was parked outside the city of beasts. This beast carriage wasn't extravagant or ostentatious. On the contrary, it was very low-key. No one would have thought that Song Qiufeng, one of the gold medal elders of the Thousand Merchants building, would travel in such a simple carriage. It was just that this beast carriage looked simple, but there was a whole other universe inside. The interior of the beast carriage was a space of its own. There was a magnificent hall inside the beast carriage. Song Qiufeng was sitting in the main seat, looking very pleased with himself. "President, you seem to favor Tang Ao?" A voice came from nowhere. The voice was very clear, but the speaker couldn't be seen. Not only couldn't he see the speaker, but he couldn't even sense his aura. It was as if the speaker didn't exist at all. Tang Ao is a good partner. If he can provide me with satisfactory goods, I won't let him suffer a loss. Song Qiufeng didn't care about the person hiding in the dark. As he spoke, he took out the storage ring and elixirs that Tang Ao had given him. Song Qiufeng didn't check them in front of Tang Ao. Although Song Qiufeng trusted Tang Ao, he had to check them carefully now that they were out of the city of beasts. The Thousand Merchants building had a building master and 5 honorary elders. Many people knew this, but not many people knew that one of the honorary elders, who was Song Qiufeng's immediate superior, had been missing for a long time. However, Song Chilfing was very ambitious, and his methods were very shocking. The honorary elder in charge of the 1,000 Merchants building was just a substitute that Song Chilfing had found. Song Chilfing had wanted to replace him for a long time. This time, these pure gold immortal artifacts were his opportunity. Pure gold immortal artifacts were very special in the true martial realm. There were many immortal artifacts that could be absorbed into the body and nourished. However, there were only a few types of immortal artifacts that could be absorbed and nourished along with a martial artist's growth. Pure gold immortal artifacts were one of them. Pure gold immortal artifacts could be constantly nourished by the martial artist's comprehension of the Tao laws in the martial artist's spiritual sea. The stronger the martial artist, the stronger the pure gold immortal artifact that was nourished. A good scarlet gold immortal artifact, even if it was just a grade 1 immortal artifact, was very valuable. With a thought, a crimson gold saber slowly appeared in front of Song Chilfing. This golden red saber wasn't refined by Tang Ao. It was obtained by Song Chilfing in the heavenly martial arts realm after paying a huge price. Song Chilfing had refined it into an immortal artifact. However, after seeing the scarlet gold immortal artifact that Tang Ao had forged, Song Chilfing felt a little regretful. This was because the scarlet gold immortal artifact that Tang Ao had forged was not only of shocking quality, but it had also been forged thrice by the refined spirit. Even those old fellows in the 1,000 Merchant house would be tempted by such a treasure. Song Chilfing casually pulled out a crimson gold saber, refined by Tang Ao, and asked without any ripples in her eyes, "Black Fox, what do you think of this crimson gold saber, refined by Great Master Su compared to the one refined by Tang Ao?" After a short while, Song Chilfing's expression changed. "My goodness! A grade 4 crimson gold saber, refined by a refined spirit." Even Song Chilfing hadn't seen this batch of scarlet gold immortal artifacts before. Song Chilfing hadn't expected that Tang Ao would give him such a pleasant surprise. After seeing the golden red saber, even Black Fox, who was hiding in the dark, was speechless. Chapter 2581. Hence, when he had given the starry sky Tao Jade to Tang Ao, he had prepared a yin-yang dual extreme elixir for himself. Song Chilfing was a gold medal elder of the 1,000 Merchant house. No matter how one looked at it, Song Chilfing was a scheming person. However, this time, Song Chilfing's heart shuddered. Then, he sighed. This Tang Ao is an open and candid person. I, Song Chilfing, have never thought of making friends with him. Now I actually want to make friends with this Tang Ao. What a joke. Ha ha. Song Chilfing's guards surrounded the beast carriage. When they heard Song Chilfing laugh, everyone looked confused. They didn't know what was going on. In the city of beasts, Tang Ao looked at the 5-foot square starry sky Tao Jade in front of him excitedly. There were two ways to describe the starry sky Tao Jade. One was that it was a grade 9 immortal material that was extremely rare. The other was that it was a gradeless material. Other blacksmiths might not understand, but Tang Ao knew that the starry sky Tao Jade wasn't a grade 9 immortal material or a gradeless material. It was the embryo of a primordial supreme treasure. The starry sky Tao Jade couldn't be refined using ordinary method. It needed to be refined using one's own comprehension of the heaven and earth Tao laws before it could become an artifact. Regarding this, Tang Ao was both looking forward to it and regretful at the same time. He was excited because he knew the secret of the eternal Tao fruit and that the fire Tao law was in Tang Ao's body. Perhaps in the future, Tang Ao would have a chance to use the eternal Tao law to refine this starry sky Tao Jade. Unfortunately, Tang Ao clearly wouldn't have a chance to use such a treasure in the near future. After all, until now, Tang Ao hadn't sensed anything special about the fire Tao law in his body. Only Tang Ao knew that the fire Tao law was hidden in his body. However, Tang Ao couldn't use it to do anything. However, Tang Ao also knew a secret. In this world, there could only be one martialist with the 9 Dragons Emperor's jade body. If Tang Ao perished, then the Fire Dao Law would take form in the body of another martialist with the 9 Dragons Emperor's jade body. Junior brother Tang Ao, come out and drink. As Tang Ao was looking at the starry sky Dao Jade, Luo Shi's voice came from outside. Tang Ao kept the starry sky Dao Jade and walked out. Senior brother Luo, aren't you looking for trouble by asking me to drink with you? Tang Ao took a jar of wine from Luo Shi's hand. After scanning it with his sole remembrance, he silently shook his head. Luo Shi really didn't know anything about wine, or rather, as long as it was wine, Luo Shi would drink it. This was because Luo Shi's 2 jars of wine were of very low quality. It could be considered a first-grade immortal wine. However, Tang Ao knew that someone like Luo Shi, who could pass out in 1 cup, would also get drunk on such a wine. I compete with Martial Tomb in martial arts and Li Chunfeng in love. As for drinking, let's not compete. After Luo Shi finished speaking, he started drinking heartily. From Luo Shi's words, it wasn't hard to tell that he was a person with a story. However, Luo Shi clearly had no intention of telling his story. That night, all the hidden wines in the City of Beasts were found. The Blood Slaves and the Blood Tribe had retreated, so everyone could leave the City of Beasts. There was even a group of cultivators like Song Qiufeng who had already left the 100 Beast City that very night. The remaining martialists who hadn't left were mostly drinking to their heart's content. Under such circumstances, no one knew if they could survive. Chapter 2582. However, all they could do now was to drink to their heart's content. The path of martial arts was always accompanied by bloodshed and death. However, the huge stone tablet erected in the center of the City of Beasts was a little consolation. There were 4 lists on this stone tablet. The Contribution List, the Blood Servant List, the Blood Kindred List, and the Blood Demon List. Each of the 4 lists had 3,000 names. Although not every martial artist who fought in the City of Beasts could be recorded on the list, this list recorded the martial artists who stood up bravely when the City of Beasts was at its most dangerous. However, this list recorded the martial artists who stood up when the City of Beasts was at its most dangerous. Some martial artists were only on one of the lists, but there were also martial artists who were on all 4 lists. This night seemed to be very long. Of course, Tang Ao could not get drunk on this middle-grade immortal wine. After helping the drunk and unconscious Luo Shi back to his cultivation room, Tang Ao began to check the array around the City of Beasts. Tang Ao was also preparing to leave. Tang Ao had a special feeling for the City of Beasts. Before leaving the City of Beasts, Tang Ao wanted to do one last thing for the City of Beasts. Tang Ao did not know if he would return to this place after leaving this time and how long it would take for him to come back again. The materials contributed by the martial artists in the City of Beasts had been refined by Tang Ao into various array flags and many immortal equipment. A small portion of these immortal equipment were given to the martial artists in the City of Beasts. Most of them were in the warehouse of the City of Beasts. As Tang Ao walked on the city wall of the inner city, Tang Ao suddenly had an idea. Immediately, Tang Ao took out the array flags and began to set up an array in the inner city of the City of Beasts. The outer city of the City of Beasts had a defense array, but the inner city did not. Because of this, after the defense array of the outer city wall was destroyed, the martial artists in the City of Beasts immediately had no place to hide. Previously, because the defense array in the outer city of the City of Beasts was very powerful, no one cared if there was a defense array in the inner city. However, after experiencing the destruction of the outer city's defense array, Tang Ao felt that it was necessary to set up an array formation in the inner city. Just as Tang Ao took out array flags and began to set them up, Tang Ao suddenly saw a figure not far away, also setting up array flags. Junior sister Ling, what a coincidence! Tang Ao shouted at Ling Shuiao, who was not far away. At this moment, Ling Shuiao was concentrating on arranging the array flags. When she suddenly heard Tang Ao's voice, Ling Shuiao was really scared for a moment by Tang Ao. However, when she saw the array flags behind Tang Ao, Ling Shuiao pursed her lips. Ling Shuiao had not expected that Tang Ao would actually be willing to set up a defense array for the inner city of the City of Beasts. Big brother Tang Ao, you haven't recovered from your injuries. Aren't you going to rest? Junior sister Ling, you're here at the right time. The two of us will each be responsible for half of the area. It won't be long before we can set up a Grade 4 defense immortal array in the inner city, Tang Ao said to Ling Shuiao. Big brother Tang Ao, but I don't know if this will be of any use. Naturally, Ling Shuiao was willing to set up an array formation with Tang Ao. However, what troubled Ling Shuiao was that if the Grade 5 immortal array in the outer city could be broken, what use would the Grade 4 immortal array in the inner city be? The use of an array formation is naturally limited. Therefore, the inner city not only needs a Grade 4 defense array, but also a killing array and many teleportation arrays. The array formation in the inner city isn't meant to stop enemies, but to delay them. If there's no other choice, we can leave the City of Beasts safely. Chapter 2583. However, Ling Shuiao soon found herself in a difficult position. The teleportation array could teleport people within a certain range and could also teleport them to a specific location. Under normal circumstances, the teleportation array could only be used to its fullest potential if the person was teleported to a safe location. Although Ling Shuiao had a certain understanding of the City of Beasts' surroundings, Ling Shuiao had no idea where the City of Beasts could be considered a safe place. Senior brother Tang Ao, there doesn't seem to be a suitable place for teleportation around the City of Beasts, Ling Shuiao said after some thought. The ice lake in Wufeng Mountain. Tang Ao blurted out a place. When she heard Tang Ao mention that place, Ling Shuiao was shocked. Wufeng Mountain was covered in ice and snow all year round. There were many monsters there. How could such a place be considered safe? Moreover, the clear spirit ice lake in Wufeng Mountain was extremely cold. An ordinary warrior would definitely be frozen into an ice sculpture there. I have set up a teleportation array in a hidden area of the clear spirit ice lake. As long as the teleportation array here is connected to that teleportation array, we can teleport to the clear spirit ice lake. I will be in charge of the teleportation array and you will assist me. After Tang Ao said that, he started to set up the teleportation array in the inner City of Beasts. Many warriors saw Tang Ao and Ling Shuiao. Of course, they also saw the two of them busily setting up the teleportation array. Everyone was deeply grateful to Tang Ao and Ling Shuiao. There were many reasons why the City of Beasts had been able to survive this time. However, the contribution of these two teleportation array masters to the City of Beasts was indelible. Even if Tang Ao set up the teleportation array alone, his speed would not be slow. Furthermore, he had Ling Shuiao's help. Originally, Tang Ao had estimated that he would need 8 hours to set up the teleportation array. However, it only took slightly more than 2 hours for it to be completed. After the formation was set up, Tang Ao and Ling Shuiao looked at each other and smiled. Neither Tang Ao nor Ling Shuiao had thought that the two of them would have such a high level of tacit understanding when it came to array formations. Although it was their first time working together, they did not make a single mistake during the entire process of setting up the array. Junior sister Ling, what do you plan to do next? Tang Ao asked Ling Shuiao, who was sitting beside him. I don't know. I want to stay in the City of Beasts for a while and then go to other places. Ling Shuiao's eyes were a little blank. It seemed that this problem was not within Ling Shuiao's consideration. In the past, Ling Shuiao had never thought of leaving the City of Beasts. However, after listening to Tang Ao's previous words, Ling Shuiao felt that she should go out and gain some experience. Senior brother Tang Ao, are you leaving tomorrow? Ling Shuiao knew that Tang Ao was a warrior of the Chamber of Immortal Ruins. This time, he had come to the desolate martial realm to kill the Blood Clan. Now that the Blood Clan had suffered heavy casualties and the Blood Source formation was shrinking, Tang Ao might have to leave. Yes, junior sister Ku-er and I are both warriors of the Chamber of Immortal Ruins. In a few days, we will return to Langya Realm. If you go to Langya Realm in the future, you can find me at the Chamber of Immortal Ruins in Langya Realm. You can also find junior sister Ku-er at the Dao Seeking Academy. Until now, Tang Ao had not been to Langya Realm. However, Tang Ao estimated that after he went to Langya Realm, he would also go to the Chamber of Immortal Ruins. Chapter 2584. Ling Shuiao didn't speak much. She rarely interacted with others. Although she looked cold, that wasn't the case. That night, Tang Ao spoke most of the time. Ling Shuiao listened quietly from the side, looking very obedient. Unknowingly, a ray of light shone on the land. A new day had arrived. This ray of light seemed to ignite hope in the hearts of countless people. The depressed martial artists from yesterday had been revitalized today. Junior sister Ling, I'm leaving. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Tang Ao smiled slightly and said to Ling Shuiao, Take care, senior brother Tang Ao. This is for you. Ling Shuiao thought for a moment and handed a crystal stone to Tang Ao. This crystal stone was an ordinary cloud crystal stone. It was completely transparent. However, Tang Ao saw a drop of blood sealed within the cloud crystal stone. This drop of blood seemed to contain endless vitality. It was even exaggerated to say that this drop of blood seemed to have a life of its own. Blood demon true blood. Although it was his first time seeing it, Tang Ao still recognized this drop of blood. This drop of blood was none other than Ling Shuiao's blood essence. This drop of blood was a treasure whether it was used to refine pills or forge weapons. However, when Tang Ao came into contact with Ling Shuiao, he simply felt that Ling Shuiao was very kind and wanted to become friends with Ling Shuiao. Tang Ao didn't come for the blood demon true blood. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't hesitate and handed the cloud crystal stone back. However, Ling Shuiao shook her head. Senior brother Tang Ao, I know that you aren't someone with ulterior motives. The City of Beasts has a special meaning to me. You have done so much for the City of Beasts. I have nothing to repay you with. I can only give this drop of blood demon true blood to senior brother Tang Ao. I hope it will be of some use to you. If senior brother Tang Ao doesn't accept it, it means that you aren't willing to be friends with me. Ling Shuiao bit her lip and said, All right, I'll accept it. I don't have any treasures to give junior sister Ling, but remember, no matter what trouble you encounter in the future, you must come to Langya Realm to find me. Tang Ao had many treasures on him, but Tang Ao couldn't take out anything that Ling Shuiao needed at the moment. Spiritual blood demons were different from human cultivators. Spiritual blood demons were somewhat similar to Tang Ao in terms of cultivation. They didn't have bottlenecks and didn't need elixirs to break through to the next realm. As for immortal artifacts, Tang Ao only had a few scarlet gold immortal artifacts on him. They could barely be considered treasures. Even so, Tang Ao still left a large number of cultivation resources for Ling Shuiao. Ling Shuiao's attainments in array formations were not bad, but Ling Shuiao didn't know how to refine elixirs. Immortal artifacts, array formation jade slips, elixirs, and many other common cultivation items were given to Ling Shuiao by Tang Ao. Not long ago, Tang Ao had refined a 4th-grade scarlet gold immortal sword. Tang Ao had even given it to Ling Shuiao. However, Tang Ao knew that these things couldn't compare to the value of Ling Shuiao's drop of blood demon's true blood. If this drop of blood demon's true blood hadn't been forcibly extracted from Ling Shuiao's body, it would have taken at least 3,000 years to refine. The drop of blood demon's true blood in Tang Ao's hand was pure and flawless. Clearly, it had been refined over a long period of time. What's wrong? Can't bear to part with a beauty? Outside the city of beasts, Luo Shi, who was carrying the Heaven Fault axe on his shoulder, couldn't help but tease. When Tang Ao came, he had only come with Huang Qir. However, when he left, Luo Shi was with him. At that moment, Tang Ao looked at the city of beasts not far away and felt rather emotional. Although Tang Ao and Ling Shuiao had already bid farewell and exchanged gifts, Tang Ao didn't know when he would come to the city of beasts again. Or rather, would he have the chance to return to the city of beasts? Let's go. Tang Ao smiled bitterly and shook his head. Then, he left with Luo Shi and Huang Qir, heading in the direction of the Gale Desert. On the walls of the city of beasts, Ling Shuiao had been watching Tang Ao's figure until it disappeared completely. After her master's mistake, Ling Shuiao had been wary of the human clan. However, Tang Ao had unlocked Ling Shuiao's heart. Chapter 2585. Senior Brother Luo, are we returning to the gathering point outside the desolate martial domain now? After leaving the city of beasts, Tang Ao put his thoughts to rest. There was no such thing as a never-ending banquet, but there was a sincere friendship after a long separation. Tang Ao believed that he would return to the city of beasts one day. As for bringing Ling Shuiao to the Langya domain, Tang Ao had the idea, but Tang Ao quickly dismissed it. Everyone should have their own life, and Ling Shuiao did not seem to have any intention of leaving the city of beasts. That's right. Now that the blood race's blood source formation has begun to collapse, there might be many people rushing to the gathering point. I wonder what mission we will have when we return this time. Although the three of us are quite strong, we should still be careful. After the Hidden Dragon list and the Hero list combine, only 100 of the 350 warriors will be left. At this time, the trial is nearing its end. Some people might want to take a shortcut. Luo Shi's expression was normal. As he spoke, he casually stepped on the yellow sand. In this dangerous Gale Desert, Luo Shi did not seem worried at all. Senior Brother 11th, what shortcut? Unlike Tang Ao, Huang Qir called Luo Shi 11th Senior Brother instead of Senior Brother Luo. Luo Shi had a headache over this, but after several attempts of persuasion to no avail, Luo Shi let her call him that. There is an ambush ahead. At this moment, a calm voice was heard. The one who spoke was Huang Qir's elusive dragon turtle. This dragon turtle was terrifyingly powerful in its giant form. In its normal state, it had a very shocking psyche perception. Now, Tang Ao did not discover anything. Even Luo Shi only felt that something was amiss. However, there was an ambush nearby. Tang Ao did not see it, and neither did Luo Shi. However, Tang Ao completely believed in the dragon turtle's words. The dragon turtle's psyche perception far surpassed his, and Tang Ao already knew that. Therefore, if the dragon turtle said there was an ambush ahead, then there must be an ambush. 3 falcons circled above Tang Ao's group of 3. In any other place, such a falcon would not attract any attention. But in this boundless desert, it was extremely unusual for this kind of falcon to appear here. Luo 11 raised his head and sneered. So that's how it is. I know who it is. Is there anyone who wants to deal with us? Huang Qir also glanced at the 3 falcons circling above her head, but she couldn't see anything. Huang Qir did not feel any threat from these 3 falcons. With a thought, Tang Ao activated his heavenly polar eyes. Under his sole remembrance, Tang Ao hadn't found anything wrong with these falcons. However, after using the sky polar pupil, Tang Ao immediately discovered that there was an array in the eyes of these 3 falcons. This formation only had one function, and that was to allow the owner of the falcon to see what the falcon saw. Tang Ao understood that this cultivator who was preparing to ambush the three of them had obviously been eyeing them for a long time. However, he definitely did not expect that while he was using the falcons to observe Tang Ao's group of three, Huang Qir's dragon turtle had used its sole remembrance to detect him hiding in front. Chapter 2586. The martial artist who ambushed us this time is called Ing Jiu. If it was someone else, we could consider giving way. However, if it's this guy, I'd like to meet him. Luo Shi swung his giant axe, and a huge axe blade swept across the sky. A blood-curdling screech was heard as three falcons were split in half by Luo Shi's axe blade. Senior brother Luo, do you know Ing Jiu? Tang Ao asked curiously. Tang Ao had already seen that Ing Jiu was ranked 67th and had entered the top 100. Logically speaking, Ing Jiu didn't have to stop Tang Ao and the other two. It would be fine if it was just Tang Ao and Huang Qir, but Tang Ao and Huang Qir were accompanied by Luo Shi, who was at Yinyang Realm Stage 3. You haven't been on the Hidden Dragon role for long, so you haven't been sent out on a mission. Martial artists on the Hidden Dragon role have to complete 10 missions assigned by the Chamber of Immortal Ruins every 1,000 years. I once went on a trial mission with Ing Jiu. That mission was to kill an evil cultivator hidden in a remote city in Langyu World. Although that remote city was remote, the women in the city were all as beautiful as flowers. Ing Jiu couldn't contain his excitement and took advantage of the city lord's daughter. The city lord was furious and sent out martial artists to kill Ing Jiu. In a fit of rage, Ing Jiu massacred the entire city. Tang Ao's expression turned serious. Tang Ao had thought that the martial artists recruited by the Chamber of Immortal Ruins would have good morals, no matter how bad they were. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that there would be such a vicious person on the Hidden Dragon role. Not only did he not repent after doing something wrong, he even massacred the entire city because of a disagreement. Senior brother Luo, how's Ing Jiu's cultivation? Since Ing Jiu had come looking for them, there was no reason for Tang Ao and the other two to avoid him. From the looks of it, Ing Jiu had no intention of letting Tang Ao and the other two go. Ing Jiu's cultivation is about the same as mine. He's ranked outside the top 50 this time. I think he didn't go out to kill the Blood Clan and spent most of his time doing other things. However, Ing Jiu had 3 followers who were also in the top 100. Since Ing Jiu is waiting for us, I don't think he's alone. Luo 11 was a bit afraid of Ing Jiu. Among the top 20 warriors of the Hidden Dragon rank, besides the Martial Tomb and Li Chunfeng, who were extremely powerful, the rest of the warriors were not that different. If it was just Eagle 9, Luo 11 would not be afraid at all. However, Ing Jiu must have brought his 3 followers with him this time, and those 3 were not weak either. Once the two sides met, he wouldn't be able to defeat Ing Jiu quickly. On the other hand, Tang Ao and Huang Qir were at a disadvantage against the other 3. After pondering for a moment, Luo Shi sighed. Forget it. Let's take a detour. Luo Shi was a little impulsive when he learned that Ing Jiu was ambushing him. Now that he had calmed down, Luo Shi immediately understood that there was no value in fighting Ing Jiu now. There were 4 people on Ing Jiu's side, and they were all ranked below 50. The 3 of them had already entered the top 10, so there was no need for them to fight with Ing Jiu. However, he didn't know if Ing Jiu would be impatient enough to chase after him if he left now. Chapter 2587. I actually hope that he chases after us. Let's go straight to the assembly point, Tang Ao said as he thought about it. Huang Qir nodded. She did not understand the deeper meaning behind Tang Ao's words. Luo 11 nodded. He understood what Tang Ao meant. Although they had to pass through the assembly point, there was still some time before the end of the trial. Tang Ao and the other 2 had enough points. Hence, it was not a big deal to spend some time taking a detour. If Tang Ao and the other two continued on their way, they would fall into Ingjiu's ambush. However, if Ingjiu chased after Tang Ao and the other two, then Tang Ao and the other two could ambush Ingjiu along the way. Everyone understood this logic. However, the fact that Tang Ao could think this way at a time like this meant that he was also an experienced martialist. Head east. 1,000 miles to the east, there are ruins of an ancient city. After understanding Tang Ao's meaning, Luo 11 recalled a place he had passed before. There were many ruins in the Gale Desert. When Luo 11 had been looking for Tang Ao and the other two, he had passed by one of them. After spending some time together, Luo 11 knew that Tang Ao was an array master. If Tang Ao had set up the array and waited for Ingjiu, then the situation would be very different. He could deal with Ingjiu alone, while Tang Ao and Huang Qir could use the array to deal with the three martialists following Ingjiu. On a tower thousands of miles away from Tang Ao and the other two, Ingjiu looked at the 3 gray feathers in his hand and sneered. Luo 11 claims to be a lone wolf. However, he is afraid of me this time, so he found 2 helpers. Master Jiu, did Luo 11 find 2 experts in the top 20 of the Hidden Dragons list? A martialist wearing black lava armor asked. Martialists cultivated spells and communicated with their life spirit. Most of them liked to wear loose and comfortable cultivator robes. It was rare to see a martialist wearing heavy armor. Even if they were wearing armor, they were only wearing half armor or thin armor. However, the person who spoke was covered in heavy armor. Not even his eyes could be seen. If an ordinary person were to wear such an outfit in the Gale Desert, even if they did not encounter any demonic beasts, they would still die from the heat. Black armor, are you afraid? Ha! Unlike black armor, the one who spoke this time was a youth with fiery red hair. He was bare-chested, revealing his bronze-colored muscles. There was a scarlet dragon tattoo on his left arm. The Gale Desert was hot enough, but the temperature around this young man was even hotter than the Gale Desert. It was as though he was a ball of fire. Qi Hong, what did you say? Why would I be afraid? Even if I have to face Luoshi, I'm not afraid. Black armor seemed to be particularly sensitive to the word fear. No matter who it was, as long as fear was mentioned in front of him, his emotions would fluctuate a lot. Be quiet. If you make any more noise, I'll chop you 2 up and feed you to the dogs. In the shade of the city tower sat a fair-skinned woman. She was very beautiful, and her name was pleasant to hear. She was called Silvermoon. At the moment, Silvermoon was holding a delicate knife in her hand, and she was carefully polishing her beautiful nails. All women loved to be beautiful, especially Silvermoon, who was already unbelievably beautiful. Chapter 2588. There's no point in hanging out with you 3 blockheads every day. 3 guys who don't understand women. It's too boring. I'm leaving. Silvermoon stood up and was about to walk down the city gate tower. Wait, Ingjiu, who had been silent all this while, said. What's the matter? Silvermoon asked without turning her head. Although it was rumored that Qi Hong, Heijia, and Silvermoon were Ingjiu's followers, the truth was that the 4 of them were merely partners. Use your mystic moon mirror and see where Luoshi is. Ingjiu's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had wanted to kill Luoshi for a long time, but he couldn't find the opportunity. The Gale Desert trial was clearly the best time to do so. This time, he definitely wouldn't let Luoshi leave the Gale Desert alive. Back in Guyu City, he hadn't been chased by the martial artists because he had taken advantage of the city lord's daughter, but because he had stolen a treasure from Guyu City. Ingjiu had no interest in women at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so indifferent when a beauty like Silvermoon was here. 1,000 mid-grade immortal crystals, Silvermoon said lazily without turning her head. So expensive? Ingjiu frowned and asked indifferently. Friendship price. It's 2,000 now. Silvermoon seemed a little impatient. Chi Hong sneered after Silvermoon said that. She thought to herself, Silvermoon must be crazy about money. She actually dared to do business with Ingjiu. He Jiao was shrouded in his armor, so no one could see his expression. If they could see his expression, the three of them would definitely be shocked. There was an evil smile on He Jia's face. It was as if he felt a sense of pleasure when he saw the high and mighty Ingjiu being humiliated. Here are 12,000 immortal crystals. The extra 10,000 will be your fee. Ingjiu didn't waste any time and threw a storage ring over. Silvermoon waved her hand and the storage ring appeared in her hand. 10,000 doesn't seem to be enough. After glancing at the 12,000 mid-grade immortal crystals in the storage ring, Silvermoon said with a smile on her face, "What if I add your life?" Ingjiu's figure disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, Ingjiu's left hand was already gripping Silvermoon's throat. "Get your filthy hands off me!" Under Ingjiu's iron claws, there were very few survivors, but Silvermoon didn't seem afraid at all. After Silvermoon finished speaking, Ingjiu released his hand. At this moment, Silvermoon also formed a seal with both hands, and a crescent moon tattoo appeared on her forehead. Silvermoon pushed out her palm and a mirror condensed from immortal spiritual energy appeared in front of the three of them. In the mirror, the figures of Tang Ao and the other two were extremely clear. With just a glance, Ingjiu's face darkened. Luo Shi ran away. In the image, Luo Shi and Tang Ao did not continue forward. Instead, they changed directions. They would rather take a big detour than fight him. Luo Shi is currently ranked 10th. It seems like he doesn't want to fight Lord Jiu, Black Armor said when he saw Luo Shi and Tang Ao heading east. He doesn't want to fight me, but I don't want to let him off. Let's go. Ingjiu's powerful immortal spiritual energy shook as he chased after Tang Ao and the other two. Silvermoon put the mystic lunar mirror away and followed closely behind. Chapter 2589. After saying that, Chi Hong followed after them. However, this time, Chi Hong kept a distance from Ingjiu and Silvermoon. Even if Tang Ao and the other two set up an ambush along the way, Ingjiu and Silvermoon would be the unlucky ones. Black Armor and Chi Hong had never gotten along, but Black Armor chose to follow behind Chi Hong this time. As for Luo Shi, Tang Ao and Huang Qir were not a threat, but Luo Shi was very deadly. If Luo 11 also wanted to kill Ingjiu, then under Luo 11's ambush, he might become the scapegoat if he wasn't careful. Ingjiu naturally thought that Luo Shi might ambush him along the way. Judging from Luo Shi and Tang Ao's unhurried behavior, it was obvious that they wanted to lure him over. Since Luo Shi wanted to lure him over, he might as well see what tricks Luo Shi had up his sleeve. Senior brother Tang Ao, why aren't we moving? Huang Qir looked at Tang Ao in confusion beside the ruins. We're waiting for someone here. Tang Ao smiled and took the lead to walk into the abandoned city. There were many such abandoned and dilapidated cities in the Gale Desert. Some of these cities might have treasures left behind. Therefore, many martial artists would specifically look for treasures in these abandoned ancient cities. Let's stay here. We'll wait for Ingjiu here, Luo Shi said after looking around and making sure that there was no one around. All right. Tang Ao nodded and began to set up the formation. Ingjiu was not an ordinary person, and the three people following him were not ordinary martial artists either. Even though the three of them were not weak, Tang Ao would not let his guard down. Formation flags were taken out and Tang Ao quickly set up the formation. About an hour later, Huang Qir's dragon turtle appeared again. Someone is coming. 4 of them. Tang Ao and Luo Shi were used to the dragon turtle's unpredictability. After Tang Ao threw out 3 more array flags, he collected the rest of the array flags. Tang Ao originally thought that it would take at least an hour for Ingjiu and the others to catch up, but he didn't expect that Ingjiu would only use half an hour to catch up. Screech! Just at this moment, a clear eagle cry resounded in the surroundings. Then, the image of a goshawk streaked across the sky and chased after them. Luo Shi, sneaking around isn't like you. Come out and fight me! Ingjiu stood in the air with his long hair fluttering in the wind. The aura of Yin-Yang Realm Level 3 was obvious, which was no weaker than 11. When have I ever been sneaky? If you want to fight, I'm not afraid of you, Luo Shi said as he flew out. In the formation, Tang Ao secretly shook his head. When Luo Shi calmed down, he was meticulous and experienced. But now that they were fighting, Ingjiu had goaded him into action. The reason why the three of them lured Ingjiu here was to use the array formation to deal with Ingjiu. However, now that Luo Shi had rushed out of the array formation that Tang Ao had set up was obviously useless. Chapter 2590. Senior Brother Ingjiu, I've heard a lot about you. Luo Shi had just finished thinking when Tang Ao's figure appeared. Luo Shi's heart skipped a beat when he saw Tang Ao. The reason the three of them had come in this direction was to set up a formation to ambush Ingjiu and the other two. Now that Tang Ao and Huang Qir had rushed out of the formation Tang Ao had set up was obviously useless. I don't know what you did to get your contribution points into the top 10. It's not easy to get this ranking, so you have to learn to cherish it. Ingjiu did not attack but tried to persuade Tang Ao instead. Senior Brother Ingjiu, you didn't come all the way here just to tell me this, did you? Tang Ao did not answer but asked. Very well, let's do it. Ingjiu looked at Tang Ao and nodded as he said coldly. As soon as Ingjiu's voice fell, three figures appeared in the void. The leader was covered in thick, heavy armor. He looked extremely clumsy, but he gave off a strong sense of oppression. The other two were a stunning beauty and a red-haired young man. Both of them had a strong aura that gave off a threatening feeling. The two sides were not reminiscing about old times, but fighting to the death. Therefore, after deciding to attack, Ingjiu immediately fought Luo Shi, while Silvermoon and the other two surrounded Tang Ao and Huang Qir. Do you want to come one by one or all at once? Although he was surrounded by Silvermoon and the other two, Tang Ao was not afraid. The three of them had strong auras, but Tang Ao and Huang Qir were not ordinary people. It's just right. There are only two of them. The two of you can take one each. I won't get involved. Silvermoon blinked her beautiful eyes and said to Qi Hong and He Jia. Stop giving me orders. As Qi Hong spoke, he had already blasted a fiery fist at Huang Qir. However, before his fiery fist could hit Huang Qir, 6 figures suddenly appeared behind her. The ice phoenix flapped its wings, and an icicle instantly collided with Qi Hong's fiery fist. After that, before Qi Hong could do anything else, 2 rays of divine light from the ancient era's blue spirit and the ancient era's green spirit descended from the sky and smashed Qi Hong's body into the yellow sand. Just now, Black Armor had thought that Qi Hong had found someone easy to deal with, but now it seemed like Qi Hong had shot himself in the foot and was asking for trouble. After glancing at Qi Hong, Black Armor moved and appeared in front of Tang Ao. Without any unnecessary words, Black Armor arrived in front of Tang Ao and smashed his fist down. Tang Ao did not retreat. Instead, he took a step forward and threw out a heart-drilling kick. Bang! A muffled sound could be heard. Tang Ao felt as though he had kicked an incomparably hard Tiangang stone instead of a human body. Black Armor was not injured at all by Tang Ao's kick. He only took half a step back. However, Tang Ao was sent flying due to the strong recoil. This guy's armor is not simple. Tang Ao thought to himself as he looked at Black Armor's armor, which had faint runes shining on it. Die! As Tang Ao was pondering, Black Armor's figure flashed and appeared before him. Although Black Armor was wearing heavy armor, His speed was not slow at all. Black Armor's immortal weapon was a giant hammer. At that moment, Black Armor's giant hammer was smashing toward Tang Ao's head, as though it was going to smash Tang Ao into pieces. Chapter 2591. Tang Ao could also see through the Black Armor's cultivation base. It was only at the 6th level of astral reaching realm. Compared to Tang Ao, he was only 2 levels higher. Qi Hong, who was battling Huang Qir, had a slightly higher cultivation base, at the 7th level of astral reaching realm. The white-robed woman, who had yet to make a move, made Tang Ao the most apprehensive, because her body was emitting a peak 9th level astral reaching realm aura. However, she didn't seem to have any intention of making a move. She was only here to watch the show. When the Black Armor saw that his shockwave had hit Tang Ao, he was overjoyed. However, before he could rejoice for long, his expression changed. This was because the scene of Tang Ao exploding and dying due to the immortal spiritual power within his body didn't appear. At this moment, the immortal spiritual power within Tang Ao's body was indeed surging, but it was still far from exploding. Tang Ao cultivated the highest grade body refining technique, the Great Desolate Immortal Body. When cultivated to the extreme, his body was even more tyrannical than a God-King expert. Although Tang Ao had only cultivated to the Yuan body level, the Black Armor's attack clearly couldn't injure Tang Ao. Just now, when Tang Ao and the Black Armor exchanged blows, he only wanted to probe the opponent. Now that he knew some of the Black Armor's strength and characteristics, Tang Ao also attacked with all his strength. The golden runes on his body flickered and eventually merged into his body. Immediately, a faint golden light appeared around Tang Ao's body. At this moment, Tang Ao seemed to have used the golden body. With the Great Desolate Immortal Body Yuan body and the Battle Saint Bone Life Spirit's Vajra Incarnation secret art, Tang Ao's body was comparable to an ordinary Grade 4 immortal artifact. Playing tricks. The Black Armor sneered and immediately punched out. Facing the Black Armor's punch, Tang Ao didn't have to dodge. Dang! A sound rang out, but Tang Ao didn't move an inch. The Black Armor couldn't imagine that a 4th-level astral-reaching martial artist could take a punch from him. One should know that his Black Armor was the Black Gold Immortal Armor. Not only was it a Grade 4 immortal weapon, but it was also refined by Master Lu. But now, Tang Ao had actually used his body to take a punch from him. Bang! Before He Jia could figure out what was going on, a terrifying force assaulted him. He Jia's body trembled, and he was sent flying. A giant pillar above the ruins was smashed into pieces, and countless broken stones flew everywhere. Tang Ao was very satisfied when he saw that his full-strength punch had such power. The opponents that Tang Ao had faced before were either at the 9th level of Astral Reaching Realm or the 1st level of Yin-Yang Realm. The cultivation gap between them and Tang Ao was too huge. Even if Tang Ao had more tricks up his sleeves, it would still be hard for him to compete with them. After all, in the face of absolute strength, all methods seemed useless. However, the difference in strength between Tang Ao and He Jia was not that great. In terms of cultivation base, He Jia was only at the 6th level of Astral Reaching Realm. If it were an ordinary 6th level Astral Reaching Realm, with the advantage of Tang Ao's 9 Dragons Emperor Jade Body, Tang Ao could completely crush him. However, He Jia and Tang Ao were the same. They were both martial artists that the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce had spent a huge price to recruit. Naturally, he couldn't be compared to ordinary martial artists. Boom! In the ruins, many stones exploded. Shortly after, a black shadow rushed towards Tang Ao with a terrifying speed. That cumbersome black rock heavy armor seemed as light as a feather on He Jia's body. Before He Jia could reach Tang Ao, a frightening power had already raised a loud explosion. Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless. The hundreds of hand seals around him turned into thousands in the blink of an eye. Chapter 2592. Thousand Hand Seal. Tang Ao roared as the thousand-hand seal blasted out from Tang Ao's hands. The thousand-hand seal was the second offensive technique that Tang Ao had deduced using the 7-kill divine path after the Finger of Extermination. As Tang Ao continued to cultivate it, it had undergone new changes. In Tang Ao's previous battles with many strong enemies, the thousand-hand seal had also performed well. But now, Tang Ao had finally discovered the shortcomings of the thousand-hand seal. Perhaps it wasn't the thousand-hand seal's shortcomings, but Tang Ao's thousand-hand seal wasn't perfect enough. Now, Tang Ao could instantly release the thousand-hand seal, but he still needed some time to condense the power of thunder to use the thousand thunderbolt hand seal. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion spread out in all directions. Tang Ao and Black Armor's cultivation wasn't very strong, but the momentum of their battle made even Ing Jiu, who was far away, frown slightly. "You found a good helper. No wonder you had the guts to lure me here," Ing Jiu said after some thought. However, Luo Shi didn't care about Ing Jiu's thoughts at all. In this kind of life-and-death battle, Luo Shi became calmer, so he naturally wouldn't be affected by Ing Jiu's words. Bang bang bang! After clashing head-on with Tang Ao, Black Armor used his 8-legged heavy armor. The 8 legs moved at the same time, and Black Armor's attacks rained down like a torrential storm. Tang Ao didn't retreat either. Streaks of sharp fist light flashed in his hands and collided with Black Armor, producing a dull sound. Boom! Rumble! Both of their defenses and strength were terrifying, and their battle was very domineering. The surrounding city towers had been completely turned into ruins at this moment. The tall ancient towers that had been preserved for a long time were now shattered by the terrifying immortal spiritual power that the two of them released. Black Armor took out his giant hammer again, and the 8 giant legs behind him didn't slow down at all. A green light flashed behind Tang Ao, and the green lotus sword soul instantly appeared. As the green light flowed, sword chi filled the air and formed a whirlwind of sword chi around Tang Ao. Condense! Tang Ao shouted in a low voice, and the sword chi whirlwind around him disappeared instantly. A green light flashed, and the green lotus sword soul directly turned into a peerless green lotus sword in Tang Ao's hand. At this moment, Tang Ao's aura suddenly changed, and the surrounding aura turned murderous. Wind and cloud slaughter. When Tang Ao attacked, he used the first sword of the 7-killing divine path. The originally murderous and desolate aura became even more desolate at this moment. It was as if the blood-like setting sun had descended on an ancient battlefield, bringing about endless desolation. This sword was just an ordinary sword, but when it was thrust out, it contained infinite changes. At that moment, Black Armor was momentarily dazed. It was clear that he was in the midst of this lonely sword intent. However, after Black Armor's Blackrock heavy armor flashed with runes, Black Armor quickly regained his senses. After regaining his senses, Black Armor broke out in a cold sweat. Although Black Armor had absolute confidence in the defense of his Blackrock heavy armor, in such a life-and-death battle, his life could be taken by his opponent in an instant. Black Armor could see that the sword intent of Tang Ao's sword was extremely powerful, but it wasn't very powerful. Simply put, this sword wasn't perfect. Chapter 2593. Thunder exploded in his ears, sounding like the demonic sound of death. However, Black Armor did not die in the end, because a beautiful figure appeared in front of him in a flash. Silver Moon raised her jade-like hand, and the mystic moon mirror flew out, forming a void door in the air. When Tang Ao's thunderclap giant sword edge hit the mystic lunar mirror, it was actually swallowed by the mirror. Seeing her mirror swallow Tang Ao's sword chi, Silver Moon's expression remained the same. She lifted her leg and kicked Black Armor, who was shivering slightly in the air, away. After being kicked away by Silver Moon, Black Armor was not angry at all. If it were in the past, even if Eagle 9 tried to stop him, he would still fight to the death with Silver Moon. However, at this moment, Black Armor's eyes were filled with gratitude. Before the Immortal Ruin Chamber of Commerce, there were 50 people on the Hidden Dragon list and 200 on the Hero list. Black Armor and the other 2 were martial artists on the Hero list, while Tang Ao was on the Hidden Dragon list. Now, Black Armor knew why he was only on the Hero list, while Tang Ao was on the Hidden Dragon list even though he was only at the 4th level of the Astral Reaching Realm. The Tang Ao in front of him was simply a sword Dao genius. In the true martial realm, there were definitely many martial artists who used swords. There were also many martial artists who had some achievements in sword Dao. Relying on his Black Rock heavy armor's power, Black Armor had challenged countless sword Dao martial artists. However, Black Armor had never met a martial artist who could cultivate sword Dao to the level of Tang Ao. When he was trapped in Tang Ao's Green Lotus sword array, Black Armor felt as if he had entered a space completely made of sword chi. Even though his Black Rock heavy armor's defense was astonishing, he still felt powerless in that sword chi space. Tang Ao's sword chi was all-pervasive and unstoppable. Even though he had the Black Rock heavy armor to protect him, he was still injured by Tang Ao. Swish! A golden mysterious sky arrow flew through the air. Black Armor, who had just escaped from death, turned pale again. A golden arrow kept enlarging in Black Armor's eyes. This arrow seemed to want to devour his life. Tang Ao understood that this was a disadvantageous situation of 4 against 3. Now that he had seized the opportunity, he naturally had to get rid of one of them first. Kacha! Kacha! A series of cracking sounds rang out at the same time. It turned out that Black Armor had used the last of his strength to activate the Black Lava Heavy Armor. At this moment, the Black Lava Heavy Armor had become a black iron ball. Black Armor curled up into a ball inside the Black Lava Heavy Armor. However, Tang Ao had to admit that the defense of the Black Lava Heavy Armor was indeed quite domineering. Even under such circumstances, Tang Ao's mysterious sky arrow still failed to kill Black Armor. However, after being struck by Tang Ao's profound heaven arrow, Black Armor's aura had also become extremely weak. Clearly, he had lost the ability to fight. In the distance, Ing Jiu, who was fighting Luo Shi, saw Black Armor curling up on the ground. He cursed under his breath and ignored him. Whether it was Tang Ao or Huang Qir, they were nothing to worry about. What Ing Jiu cared about was Luo Shi, who was fighting him. Luo Shi's ability was not weaker than his. Once he lost to Luo Shi, the situation would really be out of control. Moreover, he wanted to kill Luo Shi. Luo Shi's attack was also a killing move. Obviously, Luo Shi would not let him off easily. On the other side, when Tang Ao's arrow failed to kill Black Armor, Tang Ao secretly felt that it was a pity. At this moment, Black Armor's aura seemed weak and he had lost the ability to fight. However, as long as Black Armor was not completely killed, Tang Ao would always have to divide his attention to guard against Black Armor. Chapter 2594. Tang Ao wasn't an insensitive person, but Tang Ao knew that the woman in front of him was very beautiful. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also very lethal. Tang Ao even had the illusion that this woman was no less dangerous than Ing Jiu. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless when facing Silvermoon. I haven't been in the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce for long, so senior sister naturally hasn't seen me before. Silvermoon didn't make a move, so Tang Ao didn't act rashly. In fact, if this dragged on, it would be very advantageous for Tang Ao. Ing Jiu and Luo Shi were evenly matched. However, Chi Hong and Huang Qir were no match for Huang Qir, even though Chi Hong had transformed into his half-dragon body. Moreover, Huang Qir hadn't used her trump card yet. Once she summoned Cain, Chi Hong would definitely lose. After Huang Qir defeated Chi Hong, whether she came to help him deal with Silver Moon or help Luo Shi deal with Yingjiu, the situation would be advantageous for him. In the world of martial arts, not only did one need powerful strength, but one also needed a calm mind. Because of this, those who acted rashly were usually the ones who died the quickest. Then why don't we get to know each other now? Silver Moon smiled slightly, her eyes like two crescent moons. No matter how one looked at it, Silver Moon was an extremely beautiful woman. A woman like her was usually charming enough, but when she smiled, it would be even more amazing. Even though Tang Ao had seen enough beautiful women, when he saw such a smile, Tang Ao couldn't associate this woman with danger. However, at this moment, Tang Ao's heart suddenly tightened. In just an instant, a huge array appeared under his feet. At the same time, Tang Ao felt as though the space around him was bound. Tang Ao was a grade 4 immortal array master, but Tang Ao couldn't see how Silver Moon made her move. Break! Tang Ao swept the green lotus sword in his hand, trying to break free from the array. Crack! Crack! After Tang Ao swung his sword, the surrounding space shattered inch by inch. Tang Ao knew that this was not because he had reached the level of being able to shatter space with one sword, but because he had already been hit. Sure enough, as the surrounding scenery shattered, Tang Ao found himself in a completely unfamiliar space. An illusory formation? Tang Ao murmured. Tang Ao closed his eyes for a moment, then suddenly opened them again. The sky polar eyes instantly opened. Under the gaze of the sky polar eyes, the surrounding space immediately became distorted. However, no matter how Tang Ao observed, the surrounding space only distorted, unable to see through it at all. Roar! As Tang Ao was observing his surroundings, a deafening roar came from behind him. Tang Ao did not look back. He directly stabbed out with his sword, and a pitch-black demonic beast with blurry facial features was killed by Tang Ao. At this time, Tang Ao also saw such demonic beasts attacking around him. These demonic beasts looked like cheetahs, but their facial features could not be seen at all. Their entire bodies were pitch black. Even the Black Panther, which was pierced by Tang Ao's sword, suddenly exploded into a cloud of black fog. It looked very strange. Tang Ao heaved a sigh of relief. After these strange Black Panthers exploded, they didn't condense and revive again. Otherwise, if Tang Ao couldn't find a way to leave, he would definitely be exhausted to death by these Black Panthers. Chapter 2595. Can't I kill these Black Panthers? Tang Ao looked around warily as he thought to himself. However, these Black Panthers did not give Tang Ao any time to think. As they roared, they swarmed toward Tang Ao fearlessly. Although Tang Ao tried his best to dodge, there were just too many Black Panthers around him. No matter how Tang Ao dodged, if Tang Ao did not make a move to kill these Black Panthers, then Tang Ao would also be injured. Up until now, Tang Ao had not been injured because he had used the Vajra incarnation. However, there was still a time limit for Tang Ao to use the Vajra incarnation. Given Tang Ao's current strength, he could only last for 4 hours at most. However, because Tang Ao had just fought with black armor, he had expended a lot of energy, so this time would be halved. In other words, if Tang Ao could not leave this illusion formation space within 2 hours, then Tang Ao would be in danger. Bang! A muffled sound resounded as a Black Panther with incredible speed bumped into Tang Ao's chest. Under this terrifying impact, the Black Panther directly smashed itself to death. Tang Ao also staggered and almost fell down. The surrounding Black Panthers took this opportunity to swarm forward. They instantly surrounded Tang Ao. However, it was also at this moment that a terrifying sword aura suddenly erupted and spread in all directions. Tang Ao looked at these Black Panthers coldly. Earlier, Tang Ao had only been dodging and had not made a move to kill the Black Panthers. Now, Tang Ao realized that because there were too many Black Panthers, he could not avoid them completely if he just kept dodging. The Black Panther that had ambushed him just now was a good example. Since that was the case, Tang Ao did not hold back anymore. These Black Panthers would produce black gas after they died, and other Black Panthers would become stronger after absorbing the black gas. However, Tang Ao still decided to make a move. It was clearly easier to deal with a few powerful Black Panthers than a large number of them. Swish, swish, swish. The green lotus sword in Tang Ao's hand swept wildly, and the cyan sword chi swept out in all directions. One after another, the Black Panthers were also killed by Tang Ao as if they were vegetables. After Tang Ao attacked with all his strength, Tang Ao's surroundings were also shrouded in black fog. The black mist was released after the Black Panthers died. Even with Tang Ao's eyesight, Tang Ao couldn't recognize what it was. However, under the observation of Tang Ao's skypole eyes, Tang Ao discovered that the black fog contained an extremely weak amount of soul power. This soul power was so weak that it was almost undetectable. If not for Tang Ao's skypole eyes, Tang Ao wouldn't have been able to discover the soul power undulations hidden within the black fog. What surprised Tang Ao the most was that these soul power fluctuations were actually the same. It was as if there were countless Black Panthers around, and they were originally one body. This discovery surprised Tang Ao. With a thought, Tang Ao instantly made a move. The green lotus sword was put away by Tang Ao, and Tang Ao made a seal with both hands. Two pitch-black chains instantly flew out of Tang Ao's hands and instantly bound a Black Panther. Immediately, Tang Ao stopped fighting with these Black Panthers and flew directly into the distance, disappearing in an instant. In the outside world, Silvermoon sat cross-legged in the void. In front of Silvermoon, the mystic moon mirror floated in the air. Black fog constantly came out of the mystic moon mirror. Silvermoon was delighted to see this. Guys on the hidden dragon list are really not easy to deal with. I wonder how many shadow beasts this Tang Ao can kill and how many king beasts will be born. Chapter 2596. The Moonlight Essence only had one function, and that was to stabilize one's Tao heart. Many people were confused when they heard about stabilizing one's Tao heart. But if you put it another way, then everyone would understand. On the path of martial Tao, after cultivating to a certain level, there would be 3 light cards. They were Astral Reaching Realm to Yin-Yang Realm to Celestial Realm, and Celestial Realm to Tao Sovereign Realm. These 3 stages were when a martial artist's Tao foundation would be continuously condensed. If one could condense a perfect Tao foundation in all 3 stages, then one would have the qualifications to break through to Divine King Realm. Divine King was the true ruler of the world. In the true martial realm, no one knew if there were Divine King Realm masters. But everyone was sure that if one could condense a perfect Tao foundation, then there was a high possibility of breaking through to Divine King Realm in the future. Because of this, the Yu race, which could refine the Moonlight Essence, was directly exterminated by experts. Now, in the true martial realm, finding a Yu race martial artist was even more difficult than finding a primordial artifact. Tang Ao didn't know that there was an ancient and mysterious race like the Yu race in the true martial realm. After Tang Ao escaped for a while in the space of the mystic moon mirror, Tang Ao found that this space didn't seem to be an illusory array space, but a special existence like his chaotic 6 light mirror space. Tang Ao also tried to enter the chaotic 6 light mirror space, but Tang Ao helplessly found that he couldn't enter it in this place. Since Tang Ao started cultivating, he had encountered countless life and death crises, but Tang Ao had never encountered a situation where he couldn't enter the chaotic 6 light mirror space. In the past, if Tang Ao wanted to, Tang Ao could completely escape into the chaotic 6 light mirror space. But this time, Tang Ao couldn't even feel the chaotic 6 light mirror space. While Tang Ao was feeling strange, Silvermoon was also looking at the mystic moon mirror in front of her with a face full of disbelief. The mystic moon mirror was the top of the 3 sacred items of the U race, an existence that could communicate with the dark light god king. In the past, when someone was sucked into the mystic lunar mirror, Silvermoon would be able to see the situation through the mystic lunar mirror. But this time, Silvermoon realized that she couldn't see the situation in the mystic lunar mirror. After being stunned for a moment, Silvermoon understood that there was only one possibility. Tang Ao was also carrying some kind of treasure on him. Furthermore, the grade of this treasure was clearly not inferior to the mystic moon mirror. This was the only way she could control the mystic moon mirror. Silvermoon's eyes were filled with curiosity. She really wanted to know what treasures Tang Ao had on him. The mystic moon mirror was one of the 3 sacred artifacts of the Yu clan, and it was one of the Khanate divine artifacts. Such a treasure, not to mention the desolate martial realm, even the Langyu realm, which was more powerful than the desolate martial realm, could not find one. Silvermoon now understood that Tang Ao was a martial artist from a lower plane. Such a martial artist, Silvermoon simply couldn't believe that he had such a heaven-defying treasure on him. After knowing that Tang Ao had a treasure on him, Silvermoon's eyes were filled with anticipation. Since Tang Ao had a treasure on him, the number of shadow beasts that Tang Ao had killed this time would definitely not be few. After killing 10,000 ordinary shadow beasts, a king-level shadow beast would be born. And after killing 1,000,000 ordinary shadow beasts, an emperor-level shadow beast could be born. Chapter 2597. Unfortunately, although the mystic moon mirror was the sacred item of the Moon Clan, for some reason, the Moon Clan could suck powerful demonic beasts or martial artists into the mirror, but the Moon Clan martial artists couldn't. Therefore, if one wanted to obtain an Emperor-grade shadow beast, they could only continuously suck martial artists into the mirror and kill ordinary shadow beasts. However, the mystic moon mirror was full of danger. Although the weakest shadow beast only had a life and death realm cultivation base, ordinary life and death realm martial artists couldn't beat the weakest shadow beast either. Apart from this, the mirror had another huge drawback. Silvermoon was at the 9th level of the astral reaching realm. Therefore, when she used the mystic moon mirror, she could only suck warriors below the 9th level of the astral reaching realm into it. Moreover, she could only suck one person at a time. Because of this, there wasn't a single Emperor-grade shadow beast in the mirror, and there were only 3 King-grade shadow beasts. Apart from communicating with the gloomy God King, the shadow beasts could also be summoned to fight in the outside world. However, this was also Silvermoon's trump card. Unless it was absolutely necessary, she wouldn't use it. In a valley, Tang Ao stopped. After flying one round in the mirror, Tang Ao discovered that the space inside was even more complete than the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror. After so long, the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror was still barren. However, inside the mirror, mountains, rivers, and lakes were all present. Tang Ao swung his hand, throwing the shadow beast bound by his netherworld chain to the ground. Tang Ao had a feeling that this shadow beast wasn't simple. However, Tang Ao didn't know what kind of secret it had. Right now, Tang Ao wanted to take a closer look and see what was so special about this shadow beast. Although the mystic moon mirror had all the mountains, rivers, and lakes, Tang Ao discovered that there was only one type of demonic beast. On the way here, Tang Ao saw some traces of battle. It was obvious that there were other martial artists trapped in this space before him. However, he didn't know whether those martial artists had ultimately fallen in this space or used some method to leave. As for leaving this place, Tang Ao was completely baffled. This feeling was similar to when Tang Ao used the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror to trap someone. Without his permission, the other party would definitely not be able to leave. The only difference was that the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror required the other party to not resist at all, or Tang Ao's cultivation to be several large realms higher than the other party in order to bring them into the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror. Of course, once they entered the Primal Chaos Hexagram Mirror, Tang Ao would be the absolute ruler. However, in the Mystic Moon Mirror, Silver Moon did not seem to have that much control over the mirror. Suddenly, Tang Ao frowned. Tang Ao realized that the surroundings were getting darker. The Mystic Moon Mirror formed a space of its own. When Tang Ao entered the Primal Chaos Hexagram Mirror, it was still daytime. But now, the sun was setting. Indeed, Tang Ao had fought with those shadow beasts for a long time, but Tang Ao could clearly feel that the flow of time in the Mystic Moon Mirror was different from the flow of time in the desolate martial realm. Especially now that Tang Ao had not been in the Mystic Moon Mirror for long, this feeling was especially obvious. Chi! A sound pierced through the air. Tang Ao's figure flashed, and at the same time, he leaped into the air and retreated to the side. A purple lightning struck down, and the place where Tang Ao had just stood was blasted into ruins. And the shadow beast that Tang Ao found was bitten on the neck by a ragged man who looked like a beggar. Chapter 2598. Tang Ao's sky extreme pupil instantly opened. Then, Tang Ao saw that this middle-aged man was actually absorbing the black qi inside the shadow beast's body. This black qi contained a trace of faintly discernible soul power. Tang Ao had captured this shadow beast precisely to observe what the black qi inside its body was. However, before Tang Ao could observe it, the shadow beast was killed by this beggar-like middle-aged man. Soon, the shadow beast disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. The black qi that formed the shadow beast was actually completely devoured by this middle-aged man. Tang Ao vigilantly looked at the other party. This beggar's cultivation base could be seen to be at the 7th level of astral reaching realm. Tang Ao didn't feel any danger from this middle-aged man, but Tang Ao felt that the other party was not so simple. This kind of person who couldn't sense danger was often the most dangerous existence. However, after killing this shadow beast, the middle-aged man staggered to his feet as if he was drunk. Glancing at Tang Ao with an indifferent expression, the middle-aged man's body flickered with purple lightning, and he instantly disappeared. Purple thunder, heavenly escape. This scene caused Tang Ao to cry out in alarm, because what the middle-aged man had just used was one of the top 10 escape arts of true martial realm, Purple Thunder Heavenly Escape. Underworld Emperor had 3 supreme treasures. The first was the Underworld Life Spirit, the second was the Immortal Underworld Flame, and the third was the Wind Thunder Underworld Cloud. The first was the Underworld Life Spirit, and Tang Ao had already perfectly inherited it. At this moment, the Underworld Life Spirit was in Tang Ao's Sea of Soul. However, Tang Ao's strength was too weak, and he couldn't display the might of the Underworld Life Spirit. As for the second Immortal Underworld Flame, he would have to cultivate it himself. Currently, Tang Ao's Underworld Flame had also advanced into a 3rd-grade Immortal Flame. According to Tang Ao's current development, there was still hope for it to advance into the Immortal Underworld Flame. As for the last Wind Thunder Underworld Cloud, although Tang Ao had obtained it, and it was extremely powerful in lower-grade planes, it didn't have the Wind Thunder Underworld Qi. But after coming to true martial realm, Tang Ao discovered that his Wind Thunder Underworld Cloud lacked Wind Thunder Underworld Qi. Wind Thunder Underworld Qi was the innate material for refining Wind Thunder Underworld Cloud. Wind Thunder Underworld Qi was the innate material for refining Wind Thunder Underworld Cloud. However, Tang Ao didn't have the time to tell Tang Ao. Moreover, in a low-level plane, Even a damaged wind-thunder nether cloud was enough to move unhindered. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't delve into this issue. However, Tang Ao had learned from the inheritance of Pill Sage Qing Yen that the wind and thunder dark cloud was one of the top 10 escaping techniques of the true martial world. The true force world was vast and boundless. There were countless kinds of magical powers and means. However, there were 10 escape techniques that were highly respected in the true martial world. They were known as the top 10 escape techniques of the true martial world. The underworld martial art, and the earth, and the world Yang underworld emperor had used. The purple thunder heavenly escape was the #1 escape art. Tang Ao didn't expect that he would have the opportunity to see this legendary escape art after being trapped in the mystic moon mirror. The purple thunder heavenly escape art had disappeared in true martial realm for a long time. Tang Ao didn't expect that he would have the opportunity to see this legendary escape art after being trapped in the mystic moon mirror. After seeing this escape art, Tang Ao was both happy and helpless. Since the sloppy middle-aged man had learned the purple thunder heavenly escape art, Tang Ao might be able to exchange it with him. Chapter 2599. At this moment, although Tang Ao knew that there was someone in this space who had mastered the purple thunder sky escape, it was basically impossible for Tang Ao to find that sloppy middle-aged man. Because that sloppy middle-aged man had used the purple thunder sky escape to escape, Tang Ao could not even sense the space ripple. Unable to find the sloppy middle-aged man, Tang Ao turned his attention to the shadow beast. After that sloppy middle-aged man had devoured a shadow beast, his aura had obviously grown a bit stronger. Tang Ao did not have any thoughts of devouring the shadow beast. However, Tang Ao wanted to see what exactly this shadow beast was. After seeing that sloppy middle-aged man, Tang Ao knew that there should be other warriors in this space besides him. However, there shouldn't be a lot of people. Although there was celestial spiritual energy here, it wasn't very dense. Without celestial crystals, they could only barely ensure that their cultivation wouldn't fall. It seemed impossible to increase their cultivation. Thinking about this, Tang Ao suddenly had an idea. If he only relied on the immortal spirit power here, he would not be able to increase his cultivation. However, after seeing that sloppy middle-aged man devour the shadow beast, Tang Ao knew that besides absorbing immortal spirit power, one could also devour shadow beasts to increase one's cultivation. However, Tang Ao always felt that the shadow beasts did not seem to be anything good. After thinking for a while, Tang Ao decided to go out and catch some shadow beasts to study. Tang Ao was currently in a continuous mountain forest. Shadow beasts could be found everywhere in the mysterious moon mirror. At the first place Tang Ao entered, there were only life and death realm level 1 shadow beasts. However, as Tang Ao went deeper, the power of the shadow beasts continued to increase. At this place, the shadow beasts that Tang Ao could run into were basically at astral reaching level 1 and above. However, these kinds of shadow beasts did not pose much of a threat to Tang Ao. On top of a huge ancient tree, Tang Ao looked down at a group of shadow beasts flying past. Tang Ao's eyes were sharp, and his attacks were like lightning. The netherworld chain flew out and instantly bound a shadow beast. The runes of the netherworld chain flickered, and the power of the shadow beast was instantly suppressed. Immediately after, Tang Ao's figure rose and landed beside the shadow beast. After grabbing the shadow beast, Tang Ao quickly jumped into the dense forest and disappeared. The entire process sounded complicated, but it actually happened in an instant. After Tang Ao left, a figure walked out from behind a boulder. This person's face was pale, as if he had been malnourished for a long time and was suffering from a serious illness. However, the aura on his body was very strange. He was extremely close to the group of shadow beasts, but the shadow beasts could not sense his aura at all. It wasn't just the shadow beast. Even Tang Ao didn't notice that someone was hiding nearby. Just now, when Tang Ao had come here to ambush the shadow beast, he had used his soul remembrance to carefully scout the surroundings, but hadn't discovered anything. However, when Tang Ao had attacked the shadow beast, Tang Ao had discovered that there seemed to be an extremely obscure aura watching him. Tang Ao wasn't sure if he was being watched by someone, so after his attack succeeded, Tang Ao immediately retreated. After entering the depths of the forest, Tang Ao casually threw the shadow beast to the side. Immediately after, 3 array flags flew out from Tang Ao's hands, forming a picture scroll. Through this picture scroll, Tang Ao saw everything that had just happened. Tang Ao also saw the pale-faced man. This young man seemed to notice that Tang Ao was looking at him and immediately lifted his head. After discovering that Tang Ao had set up an array on the tree, the white-clothed young man waved his sleeve, and the mirror image array that Tang Ao had set up instantly shattered. This array had been hastily set up by Tang Ao, but it was also a 4th-grade immortal array. This white-clothed young man had only waved his sleeve to shatter his own array. Tang Ao immediately understood that those who had entered the mystic moon mirror were not ordinary people. What made Tang Ao slightly relieved was that this white-clothed young man was only at the 6th level of the astral reaching realm. Although his whole body was a bit strange, it wasn't completely impossible to deal with. However, right at this moment, Tang Ao once again discovered that something was wrong. It was the shadow beast that he had caught just now. It had unexpectedly turned into a rock. If it were a normal martial artist, even if they had the cultivation of the astral reaching realm, their scalp would probably go numb. However, this time, Tang Ao could tell that this rock was still the shadow beast from before. It was just that the white-clothed young man seemed to have been waiting there for a long time, ready to make his move on this group of shadow beasts. Moreover, it seemed like he had already succeeded. This shadow beast that he had brought back had been poisoned by a special kind of poison. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.